Ladies and gentlemen, the Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Tonight, we're going to be giving you the coverage of the WSSR Cup Series as 4 races are in the books. We've had 4 different winners, 4 different pole sitters, and tonight we get ourselves prepared to have our 5th race of the season. The drivers get to test their skills for the Motor City Rumble 225 presented by Larry Art Productions. Tonight the drivers will tackle their skills at Nashville Super Speedway, the concrete course that's just a little under a mile and a half, but a track that gives a lot of distinctions of those mile-and-a-half tracks. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. How do the drivers tackle a tough course? Some drivers say it's loose, some say it's tight. We know it's going to be a handful, and we cannot wait to give you the coverage here this evening once again on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Cannot wait to give you the show here this evening, and joining me for tonight's coverage as well is going to be Richard Wolsifer. Richard, coming off of last week, got to see John Forbes get into victory lane at the 2008 Atlanta, but tonight we're here at Nashville. It's going to be some exciting racing to see.
Oh, it's going to be a really exciting race tonight, Sam, as they head to another concrete track, one of the longer ones on the circuit, and a lot of speed, kind of flat turns as well, considering. So there's going to be a lot of tire wear, a lot of tire conservation between these drivers as well. So we'll see a lot of drivers try to push to the front, while others try to save their tires and fall a little bit in the back and see where the run kind of equals out between everyone.
I know last week we got to see some drivers finally get to the right footing for themselves. Vincent Sora finally having a good run. A couple of other drivers also finally finding good runs. Tonight is going to be a good race. I think due to the fact that this is the 5th race of the season, we're inching closer and closer to the midway of the regular season. We have a road course next week before our holiday break. This is the time that a lot of these drivers are going to have to figure out, find that momentum before the holiday break, where we could be seeing some changes. Well, speaking of changes, we did have some small ones given to these vehicles that we're going to be seeing here tonight in the Next Gen Cup car, with some updates to the damage model and also with the tire and dynamic track. I'm excited to see what those changes are going to change up for the drivers, if they're going to feel any differences this evening.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch, especially with the damage. Now there's going to be different styles of damage that these cars can get that will actually affect the car a lot more than what it has previously. And another big change that you won't see much on the ovals, but it does happen, is the debris refresh. So with these cars, if enough cars get sliding through the grass, it can kick that dirt grass up onto the track, and that can affect how these cars handle if they run through it. So that's going to be really interesting to see if that happens here, because those drivers are going to have to navigate through basically tire tracks of dirt on the track itself.
Yeah, the apron not going to be used too much here tonight, but can be utilized, and having that dirt dynamic could honestly change things up if we have too many drivers, like I said, going through the grass. I know both you and I got a little bit of a sense of what the damage model was like when we were racing the other day. Richard, I gotta be serious, I don't know if I really felt a huge difference on the damage model side of things. It still felt like you could get a lot of damage screwed up, and the damage was getting repaired decently. So we'll see if any big hits change up, if drivers can get that damage repair. But I'm curious to see if there really was anything that these drivers here tonight noticed.
Yeah, we'll have to see what these drivers notice, if they see a change. It also depends on how hard they wreck, because they did change it to where you can get enough damage where it won't be repairable. Usually, like before this recent update, the drivers can repair all the damage. It might take 30 to 40 minutes to repair it all, but they can get it all repaired for the most part. At some point in time, though, the damage can be too much for their pit crew to repair, and they will be done for the race. So that'll be interesting to see. If we have any hard crashes, that's going to be something to keep an eye out for.
As well as what to watch out for, it's going to be qualifying. Practice is just finished up. We're about to be entering into a 5-minute qualifying period. All drivers will have 2 laps to put down their fastest time if they decide to, and qualifying's been important. We've only raced here 2 times in the past for the WSSR Cup Series, back in Season 6 and Season 8, where the driver that got the pole led the most laps. But it was only back in Season 8, Ryan Kelly got the pole, led the most laps, and won that race. And hoping to continue on is that 3 machine, who's shown some great speed. He would love to get into victory lane for this season, but like I noted on at the top of the broadcast, we've had 4 races, 4 different winners, 4 different pole sitters, and we make it 5 races as the 4 drivers already with poles: Larry Yingling, Zach Hall, Chad Wilkes, as well as last week's pole sitter of James Scioli. See who can try to top the board, as here's going to be Jared Kelly in the 55 machine trying to set up the first lap here at Nashville Superspeedway.
Yeah, it's great to see the start of this season, like you said, with different pole sitters and different winners through every race of the season this year. It just goes to show you the amount of talent that this field has throughout the entire field, because now you don't have 1 or 2 drivers that are just straight dominating every single race, but everyone's doing great work, putting in the time and the practice they need to get fast laps. As Jared Kelly comes around and finishes his first lap at a 29.9, that'll put him on the first pole right now as the first car to qualify. So a great lap by him, and see what he can do here on the second lap himself.
We'll see if that second lap is any faster, as we've got our top 5 best average starting positions for drivers that have started at least 4 races. James Scioli is averaging a 5th place starting position. Ryan Kelly, second best with a 5.3 starting position. Joshua Kanata kind of shocked me. He's the 3rd best of drivers that have had 4 starts this season with 8.5 position starting. Douglas Newbegin, average finish is starting in 10th, and Nick Crawford, an average starting position of 10.5. So seeing the drivers have been going up and down on where they're going to be qualifying here tonight. Those are your top 5 to watch out for. Track top of the board as Chris Stitz finds himself top of the board with a 29.755. That's already a 10th faster than the driver behind them, of Brian P. Johnson, on his second lap. So that is an incredible first lap by the 17 machine of Stitz. Chad Wilkes, who got the pole back at Auto Club, he'll come up shy on his second attempt. He will be 1/100th of a second off of that 17 machine. And Ken Campbell, he's excited, working with some new team, made an announcement over his YouTube channel. He is really focusing on developing and getting faster as a driver. He'll qualify in 4th position, and the driver who is trying to make the heroic charge back had the 3 worst starting finishing positions. Vincent Sora, the 51, finally got a top 5 finish last week at Atlanta 08, hoping for another solid race here tonight.
Yeah, Vincent Sora did not have the start of the season that he was hoping for, but able to rebound a little bit at Atlanta last week, and that had to have been a breath of fresh air for him to finally get a race that he was able to finish in. Crosses the line with the lap time of 30.4, starting his second lap here. So probably shooting for that second lap, see if he can top the pole as Tom Sinchek takes the pole at a 29.695. Huge lap for Sinchek as he knocks Chris Stitz out of the pole position. Vincent Sora here into turn 3. Let's see what he can do as he comes out of the turn. Got to beat the 29.695 from Sinchek. Getting ready to cross the line. Let's see if he can do it. And he will not be able to. He will be outside pole at a 29.751.
Close one, 5/100ths of a second off of Tom Sinchek. Sinchek grabbed the pole here back in season 6, the first time they ran at this track, the last time that they ran this track with this vehicle. And he also had the most, he led the most laps during that race. James Scioli looking for the pole position, but he'll line up by 1/100ths off of that 26 machine. We're seeing the times get closer and closer at the top, but they're still aiming for one driver, and that's Tom Sinchek, hoping for another great starting position. Ran well early on last week at Atlanta, got some early troubles that sent him in the back and wasn't able to finish, and he's hoping to stay on top. Now it's going to be Zach Hall as he'll be setting up on his final lap, one of the final drivers to try to get a time in this one machine. Driver that had some strong race pace last time we ran here back in season 8, hoping to find that inking speed as well here this evening as the one ducks down low, trying to get up to that pole time. Again, a 29.695 is the time everyone's trying to search for. Can Zach Hall beat the 26 of Tom Sinchek across the line? Hall, 28th on the board, only able to move up to 13th. Sinchek looks steady. No one else is out there on track. It's the 26, making it our 5th race, 5th different pole sitter this season.
A phenomenal lap from Tom Sinchek, only driver in the field to score the 29 under a 29.7. So a great run from Tom Sinchek. And looking through the field here, I noticed we don't have another driver, one of the favorites to win the championship. Gavin Rogers, I spoke to him earlier today. He is not feeling well. So sadly, Gavin Rogers will not be starting this race today.
We also got a couple of other drivers missing out, but Gavin Rogers, with his win that he grabbed back at Auto Club, how well he's been running this season. I know it's going to be dinging him just a little bit this season, but taking a break off being sick, you always wish the well for drivers that are feeling ill. As for tonight, we are now entering our warm-up section. Drivers given 5 minutes to get any last little bit of practice in, and as well gives us time to take a closer look at how the season's been so far. First off, we'll take a look at the way the standings have been looking, and notable, Gavin Rogers missing out on tonight's race. He is the points leader, though, entering into tonight with Zach Hall, John Forbes, Danny Cochran, Shane Terry in your top 5 currently. You look down to that cutoff line, though, there are some drivers of note. Chris Stitz, who looks strong in qualifying, he's 13th in points. So you got Joshua Kanata, Brian McCann, James Scioli that are inside of our top 16, but outside looking in, you got Justin Malarkey, who's been having a sneaky quiet season. He's just out by two points. Then you got Jared Talmadge, Christopher Wade, Ryan Ferraro. You look even further down, I mean, there's some other drivers that could make you strike forward. Cody Reed, all the way down in 28th. He's a driver of note to watch out for. He won back in the first race of the season. He has to make sure he's in the top 25 in points if he wants to make sure that win counts. So he's got some work to gain some of these points back.
Yeah, top 25 points is his goal to get to, but he's not that far behind, so that win can still help him get into the playoff standings. But yeah, I mean, our season open winner there in 28, though, he's looking strong still trying to get up to those points. But I have a feeling the rest of the season he might be able to pull that off and get to where he needs to make it into the playoffs.
Especially with some of the drivers missing out here tonight and haven't looking as strong, I think it's very possible that we could be seeing that recovery run. As well as we'll take a look at our schedule so far this season. I already noted on it on the fact that we've had 4 races, 4 different pole sitters, 4 different winners, and our winners have been Cody Reed, Drew Jua, Gavin Rogers, and John Forbes Jr. We'll see how the rest of the season is going to line up because we have tonight here at Nashville Super Speedway. Next week, we get to go to Europe to race at the Red Bull Ring Grand Prix. Get to see these drivers, traditionally an F1 track, but now we'll be with the next gen cars in next week before we have a 2-week break for the holidays, and we'll be back for Kansas and Phoenix. So those are going to be our upcoming racetracks. But honestly, I'm excited for next week. Road course racing at the Red Bull Ring. It's been rumored to be brought in for I feel like 2-3 seasons, and they finally made the mark here for season 10.
Yeah, it's great to see them finally pull that track out of the depths of discussion and put it in as the international track for this season. And I ran a few laps there to help kind of another place to try to figure out something for them. But this track is, Red Bull Ring is just an awesome track to race. So it's really fun to drive these cars on. They handle really well at the Red Bull Ring. Looking forward to see what the products can be on the track next week with these drivers.
Excited for it. Well, for us here tonight, we have our pick'ems. Who are drivers we feel like are those to watch out for, or could be threats to go into victory lane. I know I went with the risky call because I thought this driver was going to have a good qualifying run and thought he was going to be up front to challenge Douglas Newbigging. He's been strong at concrete courses in the past, and I think this 7 machine, if he can find his way through traffic, could be a threat to watch out for a top 10 finish. He'll be starting all the way back in 31st position. Long night for Douglas Newbigging, but gotta say, Richard, I'm excited for your pick of who your driver is here tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with our season champion in season 9 with Zachary Hall, starting back in the 13th position, but the way he's able to get through the field safely and calmly, I think he'll be able to save his tires enough to be able to make it up to the front, challenge for that win today.
And our third member of our crew running production in the background, giving us the graphics, the pictures, it's Robert Moyer Jr. and his driver of note, James Scioli. James Scioli still searching for that first win this season. He already grabbed his first pole last week at Atlanta. Could tonight finally be the night for the 77? I think those are some strong picks. Got 2 Lucky Duck drivers, 1 Snowy Desert driver, and we know there's plenty of other drivers to watch out for. Such a strong strength of field. I mean, Richard, those 3 are strong picks, but there's honestly 10 other drivers you could say could win here tonight.
Oh, I'd even go with 10 to 15 possibly. There are so many drivers that could do just break out and get a win for tonight. So we could end up tonight leaving with 5 different winners to start this season off, and it's going to be phenomenal to watch. It's going to be a great race tonight. Elbows are out, and let's see who can save their tires and make those long runs count and make their way to the front.
Well, practice is over, qualifying is done, and warm-ups just finished up. That means it's time for the racing action here tonight to begin. I also want to say thank you to GTR Simulators and Trophy Smack. We'll touch on them a little bit more later on in the broadcast, but thank you so much for sponsoring the WSSR Cup Series. As the drivers starting to grid up on pit road, it's time to take a look at our starting grid for the Music City Rumble 225 presented by Larry Art Productions. Taking the pole, being our 5th different pole sitter of the season, it's the 26 of Tom Sinchek. And in second place position, it's going to be Robert Moyer Jr.'s pick of James Scioli in that second place spot for the 77. Jared Talmadge, great starting run in third place for the 27, with Vincent Sora going to be in fourth place. Chris Ditz had a good start to qualifying, fell down to 5th. He'll love to be starting there. The driver that dominated this race back in Season 8 led 122 of 155 laps. It's the 3 machine of Ryan Kelly. He's got some work to get moving forward. The Auto Club pole sitter, the 6 machine of Chad Wilkes, started in 7th, with Larry Yingling starting in 8th. Then we fell down to 9th, where it's Ken Campbell, and finishing out our top 10, we found the 13 of Cedric Hunter.
Yeah, fantastic top 10 as we move to the next row. Starting 11th will be Samuel S. Garcia, and the number 50 on the outside of him, Brian Noel in the 00. Zachary Hall, my pick, starting back in 13th, in the number 1, Season 9 champion, here to defend his title. Nick Crawford on the outside of him in 14th position. Brian P. Johnson, number 28, starting in 15th. In the 16th, Ryan Ferrero. Ollie Fonseca back there in the 17th position, the number 24, with Jared Kelly in the 55, starting just outside of him in 18th position. 19th will be Drew Jua, going to try and make his way up through the field from the back to the front again, like he's done almost every single race this season, sitting back in 19th. And Cody Reed, our season opener winner, back in 20th.
21st, we find the 12 machine from Storm Motorsports of Andrew Medlin. 22nd, that's the 4 of Trevor Earhart. Last week's winner, John Forbes Jr., starting a little bit deeper than he liked in the field, all the way down in 23rd position. Following with them in 24th will be the 8 of Brian McCann, with Dakota Moniz starting in 25th for the 5. Justin Malarkey, just outside of the cut line, will be starting in 26th position for the 73. 27th is Danny Cochran in the 2, with Joshua Kanata starting all the way down in 28th position. 29th, we find Christopher Norris. Bill Hill going to be in the 48 machine in 30th, and our final 4 drivers going to be Douglas Newbigging, Ben Caney, Shane Tarian, and Brandon Colley starting in the back. All drivers excited for tonight's race. It's going to be 150 laps in total. We do have a stage break. We'll be at the end of lap 35 with no fast repair, 4 extra sets of tires in pit road, waiting for the field. And the fuel window we've been given is 74 to 76 laps. So we know that they're good on fuel to make it to the end. Richard, what are your thoughts getting prepared for this first 35 laps?
Oh man, this is where you can either test the tires out and see what your long run pace will be, see how the tires heat up on this concrete surface, or if you're aiming for those stage points, it's a hard charge to the front, because I know a lot of these drivers, they need those stage points to help them out in the championship. So we'll see what these drivers, what way they decide to go as we get ready to come to the green flag here at Nashville.
It's time for the Music City Rumble 225, presented by Larry Art Productions, to take off and go. The inside road did. The outside is stalling. It's Tom Sinchek already 3 car lengths ahead of the rest of the field, heading into turn number 1, as James Scioli and everyone on the outside just left sleeping. They're 2x2, second on back. But it's all Tom Sinchek for now as they head into turn number 3. It's 26. Figured out the zone, but now it's protection time. How do you save these tires as everyone's trying to get single filed up immediately? And it's Tom Sinchek leading lap number 1 here tonight.
Tom Sinchek doing a great job taking advantage of that pole position, taking an early lead and leading the first lap as we come into turn 1 here. A lot of the cars in the top 10, they're in single file, but they're still double file the rest of the field back, trying to figure out where they can set the car. But Cedric Hunter right now, that one of those cars, first set of cars that are 2x2, him and Larry Yingling. Cedric, they're on the bottom. They're trying to get the pass by on Larry so they can get back into single file to help save those tires and see what they can do for these long runs that they're hoping to get.
Saw the surge of the 00. That's Brian Noel. Doesn't want to wait for anyone. That 00 is trying to make some big, bold moves to the inside. Now going to be attempting to get by Larry Yingling, who's still stuck on that outside row, as well with Nick Crawford behind that 67. enabling Zach Hall in the 1 to go for a chance here on Hingling, and Hingling just seems to be the one getting picked off. Finally able to drop down low, and it's Drew Jua, 15th position, already up 4 spots from where he started here tonight as we start lap number 4.
Jua doing a fantastic job doing what he's done all these races so far, starting in the back and making his way through the field. If there's something he knows how to do, it is pick off drivers one by one and still get to the front. He's stuck on the outside, following Fonseca on the inside of him, right up the bumper of Zach Hall at the moment. Now we're right along with Andrew Medlin, who's looking to the outside, trying to make a pass there on John Forbes, last week's winner. Get the momentum, it looks like maybe out of the turn, but John Forbes able to close the door on him.
I think John Forbes, this is a traditional track where you will be rewarded for your aggression, for trying to attempt passes to the inside. A lot of drivers willing to give the spots away. And this 11 can find space to be aggressive. He will attempt every single time. As right now, John Forbes, one of the biggest movers, tied with also Douglas Newbigging, up 7 positions from where they started back. And here's the 11. Usually you'd see drivers attempting to make a pass on the inside. Instead, it's the outside row. John Forbes making it work, getting by the 1 machine in Zach Hall.
Yeah, making the pass on the outside, not something you typically see here in Nashville, because the outside's going to tear up those tires a little bit more, but this is kind of a dash to the checkered for the stage 1, only 35 laps, which is a little under half of this fuel run. So it's kind of just like a little short dash to the win there. So he's trying to get up, get the positions he can as he goes back down to the low side, try to save the tires of what he just used to get on the outside and make the pass on Zach Hall.
Most of the field still staying in line. You can see the single file train for everyone from the lead all the way back to around 19th position, where we find that Ford machine and the 12 racing with one another. That's Trevor Earhart for 19th position and 20th of Andrew Medlin. Just outside the top 20. I mean, still racing side by side, but all these drivers know you have to take these spots early on before everyone gets into their own rhythm and the tires fall away.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to pass when everyone starts getting in line here. So getting your early positions helps you out, get that track position there. That's going to be your friend. So trying to get these passes early will help save maybe trying to get the passes later, because it's going to be hard getting to the inside and getting someone out of their line to get around them, or you're going to have to take the chance on the outside. When these tires start wearing, they're going to lose grip. You're not going to be able to keep that car on the outside line very well and get the run out of the turn that we would normally see.
Sad news for a driver in the back who is going to be one of the drivers to watch out for, marching his way through the field. Shane Tarian only able to start 2 laps and disconnecting from the server. So the 9 machine out of this race, currently 7 laps down, only 33 going to be drivers on the lead lap, and the report, lost power. You hate to see that. It's one of those random scenarios that happens in sim racing where that is just out of your control, and you just have to watch the rest of your competition for the rest of the night.
Yeah, that's never fun. He can still, hopefully the power comes back on. He can get reconnected, maybe salvage some positions from anybody that might be involved in a wreck. So hopefully to see him get reconnected, get back out on track, and maybe save some points for him, as he's also making a good charge for the championship run as well. So, but sad to see for our controller driver of the field. So as they're getting 3 wide up here, also still great racing happening throughout the field.
It's around that 13th and 12th position. Drivers getting a little bit frisky with one another and trying to make some big moves. It looked like it was the 50 machine of Cindy Garcia that was having a little bit of a shifty miss, as got out of control for a quick moment, saved it up, and we are able to stay clean and green. And that's kind of one of the surprising things in Nashville Superspeedway, a track where Richard, in my opinion, it feels like is a tough track on tire wear. It's either snappy loose or it's just plowing tight. There's never really felt like there's been a middle ground with the setups that iRacing makes for this track, and still, even with all those troubles, a low caution count is very regular here at this course.
Yeah, surprisingly how fast this track is, the turns are slow enough to where the drivers can kind of control themselves a little. So, I mean, we might see more, loss of control later in the runs, because those tires will start, degrading a bit and they'll lose grip. But for the most part, this track handles fairly well for these cars, considering it's just under a mile and a half concrete track, which we normally see at like Dover, which the cars tend to get really loose at. But it's a pretty stable track to drive, and these drivers are doing a fantastic job and keeping it straight. good racing and really good passes at that.
As the field is going back and forth, there's some positions all around. Up front, it is still Tom Sinchek leading the way. I'm curious if we can be right on board with some of these drivers in the middle that we're watching right now and get to see the shifting action. Something that we kind of saw when we were riding on board with John Forbes is drivers are shifting down into fourth gear to get through these corners, and with having a 5-gear system these drivers deal with, shifting has been a lot more of a regular thing with these next-gen cars compared to the old Gen 6, the Gen 4s, all that had a 4-gear system for themselves.
Yeah, what really helps with the shifting is it helps slow that car down with the engine rather than the brakes and the tires. So it helps kind of preserve the tire wear a little bit on the car. So downshifting definitely helps. It helps them rotate the car as well because they're able to get a little bit more RPMs out of the motor and get the spin out of the rear tires that they need to get that car to rotate. So it is definitely a more common thing that we see in these next-gen cars that makes for driving or the racing a little bit more interesting because sometimes people can drive and do a line and do a race without having to shift. Other times you got to shift. Other drivers, different strategies, different ways to drive the track. It makes for some really fun racing to watch.
Certainly does. Some of our biggest movers right now going to be Drew Jua, John Forbes Jr., both up over 10 positions from where they started, and they're going to be in a pairing moving forward. But they've got a lot of time, 3 seconds back to this grouping of drivers. Is everyone that's inside of our top 5 currently. Thompson Check, James Scioli kind of in their own zip code. And the battle for third is on screen, seeing the 27 of Jared Talmadge, Chris Stitz, as well as Vincent Sora having their own little battles back and forth, giving space. And behind them is where the chaos has been so far. Drew Jua trying to set up a pass on the outside on the 6 of Chris Wilkes, and Wilkes stays low, pushes slightly tight on the entry and trying to fight back on this 88, but Drew Jua, John Forbes Jr. once again in tandem, working together to move forward and utilizing the outside lane to perfection currently.
Yeah, John Forbes and Drew Jua doing a fantastic job at that outside lane. John Forbes is just kind of following Drew Jua around, and they're picking off cars little by little between the both. Drew Jua's up 11 positions, John Forbes up 14 from where they started. So biggest movers of the race is those two doing a great job getting up to the front, trying to get in position to get those stage points, which they both currently are, sitting in 8th and 9th.
Great start for themselves to get into this position as once again Chad Wilkes stuck on the inside row as he was trying his best to defend and stay moving forward as everyone in line currently. Again, we have our stage break. We have a lap 35. They'll throw a yellow for this field. Everyone knows kind of that early time, really be aggressive on these tires. Some drivers like to be on the patient approach to see the tire wear numbers, and I think that's the fun thing with stage racing is the fact of how much knowledge you can learn in these just early laps that we have as watching the battle going back and forth here for drivers back in 23rd and 24th position. But we got to go back up to the lead because Tom Sinchek's under fire. James Scioli is trying to work the outside groove on this 26 machine, and for the first time here tonight, we're seeing a true battle for the lead position. Tom Sinchek does not want to lose this position, but we've already seen how strong the outside lane is. They'll have a mad dash drag racing down into turn number 3, and Richard, it is still on who's going to have this lead position. But the more that they stay like this, Vincent Sora is on the charge to catch up.
Yeah, they stay side by side. That's going to allow the cars behind them to catch up, and they are still side by side out of 4 as they come across the line. James Scioli doing a fantastic job, but Tom Sinchek not giving up. He is not wanting to give up that lead, so he is giving everything he can, still staying side by side, and they almost get into each other a little bit coming out of 2. And Vincent Sora is loving seeing this in front of him as he is catching them to help challenge for that lead as well.
Tom Sinchek, when you think back to the old season 4, 5, 6, and 7, he was a threat for the longest time of challenging with Vincent Sora, which Brian P. Johnson had a couple of just off seasons where the strength wasn't there in speed, wasn't able to practice as much, and had a very strong start, but losing touch to the lead, and we just saw that whole entire over a half a second gap just dwindle to nothing. Sora is now here in the 51 and trying a full redemption run to get back to the lead position where he feels like he belongs. The two-time champ Vincent Sora has now entered the picture for this lead battle.
Yeah, Vincent Sora definitely in a position where he wants to be every single race. He does not want to be back in the pack where, when an issue happens, he's got to, try to dodge. So he's doing a great job. 2 cars in front of him right now, sitting there sniffing right there at second place from Tom Sinchek, just trying to close that gap. Sinchek seems to have used his tires a little bit more than what the other drivers have so far in this run, as we only got just over 10 laps to go. I think 11 laps as they come across the line this time, but Vincent Sora is going to look to the inside of Sinchek as they come across the line here, getting ready to do. His nose is there. Will he be able to make the pass in the turn, though, as he dives hard into turn one?
And their teammates from Nightmare Fuel, Tom Sinchek and Vincent Sora. I was curious on how much time they were willing to waste battling between one another, or would you, as Tom Sinchek, just let your teammate go? That's a much easier pass than what we saw Tom Sinchek defending over Scioli. And now Scioli's got to be worried about how much speed's left in this 51 machine as we're closing up to 10 laps to go in the stage, and it's James Scioli with about a 4/10 lead over Vincent Sora, but other drivers that look decently quick. I mean, looking at Jared Talmadge as well as Chris Ditz, their last laps running pretty close to what Tom Sinchek has. I think they could be threats to still get by this 26 machine, but behind them, I'm looking at the times of John Forbes as well as Ryan Kelly, Ken Campbell, Drew Jua. And I think Drew Jua last lap starting to fall off with how aggressive he was pushing through the field, but this 15 and the 3, watch out, they might still have a chance to get by the likes of Tom Sinchek and others.
John Forbes running about the same times also as Ryan Kelly and Ken Campbell. A little bit fell off there, but it is still possible for 6th and 7th of Ken Campbell and Ryan Kelly to catch up and make their attempts for the win, but we'll see here. But Scioli still holding strong at about a 4/10 lead over Vincent Sora. And
sorry to cut you off, Richard, but I don't know if we have the replay of it, but Cody Reed just did a spin in the grass, came back up on the track, and we stayed green. I don't know if we have a replay of it, but the 25 went for a crazy run. And here's the replay of it. It's Danny Cochran in the 2, Cody Reed in the 25, just trying to race hard against one another, off going on the exit of turn 4. And the 25 goes spinning in the grass, and somehow we don't have a yellow. Danny Cochran is 2 aggressively pushing on the back bumper of this 25 machine. And here's the replay. Did not bring in a caution with this incident. Ducks down for a block. Didn't work out. Cody goes spinning. He's on the apron, trades it out on the racing surface, and we stay green.
That is impressive wheel work by Cody Reed. And since he was spinning on the apron, that's why the caution didn't come out. It wasn't necessarily on the racing surface, but Cody Reed, fantastic job spinning that car all the way around and keeping it out of the field. And all the other drivers doing a good job of not hitting him as well. So great wheel work by Cody Reed to keep it straight.
Absolutely incredible as these drivers were racing by. We're going to take another look from other drivers' points of view, and then we'll get back to live coverage here shortly. But here is the likes of what it was like for Kelly as he was trying to figure out, for Jared here in the 55, as he was seeing the action in front of him. This is one of those moments where usually drivers back off. They're not sure where the field's going to be, and you've got a driver so slow in front of you, and you just have to race around them, knowing yellow flag's not out, and you cannot give up any more momentum. As we're back to live coverage, we have 5 more laps to go on the stage still.
And 5 laps to go, and Scioli's starting to gain a little bit of a gap between him and Vincent Sora. So it's looking like Scioli might be able to secure this stage win, but it is far from over with still 5 laps to go. And Vincent Sora still treading right behind him with his teammate, Tom Sinchek. They're still looking to try and get those positions, but Scioli seems to be running away with this right now.
He certainly is, up to a half a second over Vincent Sora, over 7/10 over Tom Sinchek. But I'm looking at the last laps being ran, and right now Scioli is one of the fastest drivers currently, but battling for 4th and 5th, Ken Campbell, Ryan Kelly, they're looking pretty consistently quick, pretty similar to Vincent Sora and Tom Sinchek. I think once we go back to green flag racing after this stage is over, these 2 could be drivers to watch out for in the long run, as well as John Forbes Jr., Drew Jua. They're screaming for fresh rubber as their speed has fallen off, but they've moved into the top 10 in 8th and 9th position. It is incredible to see drivers be able to even make passes here at the Nashville Super Speedway, and as long as they were able to get past drivers, it was impressive to see.
Yeah, Drew Jua and Cedric Hunter really fighting for that 9th and 10th position there. That's a 1-point difference between the 2. But they're fighting, trying to get every point they can, but I think Drew Jua finally got that pass around. But John Forbes doing a fantastic job, up 15 positions from where he started. and it just still able to keep up with the drivers in front of him. So he's found something. He did something right, being able to get through the field and save enough tires to keep maintain pace with the those around him.
And other drivers that have done a great job moving forward. Danny Cochran, I know he did not want to spin Cody Reed with their contact that was made, but this too, even with the contact, is up 12 spots from where he qualified in 15th position. Also behind them in 17th place, Douglas Newbegin is on the charge. He's now up 15 spots from where he started as he gets by Chad Wilt. And then in 18th position, up 11 positions, Christopher Norris. And probably the driver of who's having one of his better runs since joining back with the WSSR Cup Series, back in 20th place, started 34th. That is Brandon Colley, up 14 positions. Those are some of your biggest movers so far as we're about to be starting our final lap of the stage. And it's James Scioli in complete control with 7/10 over Vincent Sora as he crosses the line. Richard, you could say it's stamped. Scioli, stage winner, even if a caution comes out.
Even if a caution comes out, yeah, he will win this. But if he is the one that causes the caution, it could be a different story. So he still has to drive perfect. He can take a little bit of a breather, but as long as he hits his marks and doesn't mess up, he can easily score this victory here in the stage one as they come out of turn 4. Still almost an 8/10 lead. James Scioli will take stage 1 and is a stage winner for season 10.
Your Music City Rumble 225 stage winner presented by Lariat Productions goes to the 77 of James Scioli, and to Vincent Sora, Tom Sinchek, Ken Campbell, Ryan Kelly, Jared Talmadge, Chris Stitz, John Force Jr., Drew Jua, and Larry Yingling. Going to be finding yourselves with bonus points given out for where they finished at the stage. Larry Yingling, great job for himself to get where he's at currently, but gotta say, this field, yeah, we've got some of the cream rising to the top. It's going to be a fun racing action to continue on. I know for us, we're going to step away. When we come back, it's going to be more racing action here at Nashville Super Speedway. These drivers have been giving us a great show as they've been side by side, some making big moves. The question is, what other big, massive moves will we see throughout this charge? As this is season 10, race number 5. You're watching the Music City Rumble 225, presented by Larry Arts Production. James Scioli takes this victory. When we come back, it's going to be more great racing action to be seen here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We'll be back right after this with more racing time. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to more racing action. Stage is over. Your stage winner goes to James Scioli in the 77, but missing out on the pit stop. 77 is going to be starting on the outside for this upcoming go. There's no more stage racing. It's all about the victory as we have 150 laps to complete here this evening. We're going to be starting lap number 40 here as we take off. You are watching race number 5 of the season, your Music City Rumble 225, presented by Larry Art Productions. Thank you for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Richard Wilson. For running productions is Robert Boyer Jr. And your front row, Vincent Sora, James Scioli. The 51 on the inside's control vehicle. We saw a massive launch for Tom Sinchek before. And once again, the teammates get the timing. It's Sora, it's Sinchek. 1-2, Scioli falls to third.
A huge start for the teammates on the inside line there as they clear James Scioli going into turn 1. They will be in control of this race for the time being. We will see if that can last for the long run, as now there's no more stage breaks. It is from here to the finish. So let's see what these guys can do in saving their tires and whether they're going to be aggressive or conservative as they get ready to complete the first lap of the second stage here. And it'll be Vincent Sora crossing the line in the P1.
Another driver from that Nightmare Fuel team that's tagging along with Vincent Sora, Tom Sinchek, John Forbes Jr. in 5th place, able to get by Ken Campbell. He's going to be on the charge for that 11 bright blue machine. He is making the charge, willing to be aggressive, but behind them is where we're seeing the 13 of Cedric Hunter, as well as Jared Talmadge, Brian Noel, Chris Stitz. Starting to see a little bit of that swing of drivers that qualified well, but maybe aren't feeling that same speed and race pace. It's looking like it's going to be Brian Noel trying to set up a pass if possible, but there's a 13 machine there and another Nightmare Fuel driver, the 2, Danny Cochran. It just seems like the team is feeling so strong here tonight. The 2 trying to find a way to catch up to his teammates ahead of him.
Yeah, you definitely want to try to catch up and get with your teammates because then you can kind of control the race and control the strategy as much as you can. But Danny Cochran back here in the Torrance Nest trying to make his way to the front. They're 2x2 back here in the 13th position area. But he's doing a good job keeping it clean. Just got to get around these cars and catch up and get with his team.
As you're seeing this mess 2x2, some trying to even go 3 wide. Here's going to be Douglas Newbiggie, the drivers that was on the charge late in that coming to the end of the stage. He's able to move up 13 positions where he started, inside the top 20. And right now, kind of just stuck on the inside. Boxed in, you got to be trusting that it's your lane that's going to be moving forward. And I mean, this is one of those feelings that's got to be kind of tough to watch out for. As we're watching this 7 machine, there's also a change up for the lead position going on as James Scioli trying to set up for a pass. Zach Hall gets a little bit wiggly for the 1 machine. He'll go high, but up front, it's side by side for the lead position. Scioli got topped by Tom Sinchek and now trying to set up to get by this 51. And for Vincent Sora, it's a tough decision. Do you protect your tires or do you fight for this spot that can be so important to have clean air?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to protect your tires. I think that's a little bit more of an important thing to have because you might not have that clean air, but if you can save the tires in the longer run, you'll be able to get him again. So they're still side by side fighting for that position. Sora is not wanting to give it up. He is wanting that clean air. He's thinking it's more important than saving his tires. So he's doing a good job here, still maintaining the outside line and challenging Scioli here. But Scioli is not wanting to give up. He is wanting to get back up in front and lead the rest of this race again.
I mean, Scioli saw once he had clean air, he was pulling away from everybody, even with all the fighting Bonnie had to do. And this 77, not able to make the pass just yet. Let's sit in line and wait where they want to set up. But Ryan Kelly as well as John Forbes Jr. Those 2 drivers, they're going to be the dark horse to watch out in this top 5 of drivers that can make some good passes and go forward. I know our leaders are right on top of one another, but we also have to drop back to the 21st position because they are getting out of hand. 3 wide. Cody Reed, who had the spill, the spin, and the save of the night, trying to march his way forward with Brian McCann stuck in the middle. It's going to be last season's champion, Zach Hall, on the inside. And this whole entire back half of the field, this is 20th all the way back to 30th, just right on top of one another, just proving how tough it is to be moving forward in the back half of the field, looking a lot more dramatic than the front runners currently.
Oh, it is definitely way more dramatic way back here in the 20th position area. Zach Hall is trying to get through this field. He does not want to be back here around all these cars. They are all racing like it's the last lap of the race, it seems. a ton of side-by-side racing and a ton of passing going on. And Zach just trying to survive right now, it seems, just trying to take it easy, get relaxed here, and get into a groove. So Zach trying to make his way up front, but doing it slowly at the moment.
It slowly, as James Coyote was able to complete the pass. Here's currently our top 5 drivers, with James Coyote, that Lucky Duck driver, currently on the lead. Then you've got Nightmare Fuel 1, 2, and back in 5th. Splitting that 3rd and 5th place position is Ryan Kelly, the Yin Yang driver that won this race back in season 8 in such a dominant fashion, leading 122 laps of 155. And with the way we were seeing drivers running, I thought maybe we'd have a chance of seeing that same replica of a pole sitter leading and dominating, but not the case, as Tom Sinchek did fall back to 3rd position. But looking at how this race has evolved, we're seeing that the sun is starting to set. The track was around the 82-degree Fahrenheit, 82 degrees ambient temperature, but currently the weather in a similar state where I'm curious, Richard, of how it might change throughout the night once the sun completely falls, because currently the track temperature 88 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a little bit warm compared to what we've seen at other tracks currently.
Yeah, it's still a little warm, but when that sun goes down, the heat's going to drop as well as it typically does. We could probably get down to close to the 80s on the track, but we'll see as the race progresses and that sun sets and the lights come on, and that's when the action will definitely happen. NASCAR under the lights at any track is always a sight to see. So hopefully it cools off, and when it cools off, the strategy will change because the cars will handle way different than it was at the start of this race.
That's what we're expecting to see for this field. 51 laps in, and everyone taking it nice and gentle all around. Here's the difference between 3rd and 4th place position. Just 2/10 between them, between Tom Sinchek and Ryan Kelly. Is pretty equal distance, I would say, between 2nd to 3rd and 3rd to 4th. As well, you could say a difference between each driver all the way back to around 7th place. As John Ford's Ken Campbell trying to find out who's going to be running in 5th place. Here's some drivers further on back. It's Brian P. Johnson, a driver who's also found great success here in the past. He's had good top 5 finishes here at Nashville Super Speedway, and the Black Machine trying to find its way to move forward just a little bit more, but currently still stuck in the middle of this pack, as we're currently 53 laps in. And Richard, I mean, just 1/3 of this race over, and I gotta say the field's been doing a pretty good job of keeping it neat and tidy up front. It's still this grouping of drivers back outside of the top 20 that's just been utter chaos, but we still stay green even with the madness.
Yeah, we've had a great one little bitty slide issue with Cody Reed earlier, but able to keep it straight and keep the race going under green. And these guys in the back, and they are racing for every bit that they can, as they are still racing side by side and going 3 wide at times and still keeping it straight. As we got another 3 wide change right here, and they're still down the backstretch, 3 wide, nope, back to 2 wide, and they are still keeping it straight and clean. These drivers are doing a great job putting on a show here in the back of the field.
Back and forth, trying to hold on. Dakota Moniz involved in the middle of all this is that 5 machine currently in the white and black. And also seeing the 6 machine of Chad Wilkes just continuing to fall. Qualified 7th, and the 6 is currently our biggest loser in position. It's down 23 spots from where he started. He just qualified well, but the comfort zone on track has not been there for the 6. It feels like he's been in every lane that's going backwards, and we have already seen that transition where the inside row looks to be the strongest. Then it's the outside row later in the run that has the true speed, and this 6 has just been in the wrong spot, the wrong place throughout those transitions.
Definitely not been in the great positions he needs, but little unluck also at times as well for the Lucky Charms machine, but he's still here racing, still trying to put on the best show he possibly can. As the drivers just kind of start to chill out a little bit. Still some side-by-side racing here with Cody Reed and Douglas Lubing and Nick Crawford. Still doing a great job getting the passes done that they need, and trying to still move up through the field. Douglas Lubing up 14 positions from his starting position, so he is still making ground and getting up through this field.
Yeah, looking at some of the drivers that have marched their way through the field, Douglas has been one of the more patient drivers. Also trying to tag along with the 7 has been Christopher Norris. That's with the 38 machine having a quieter night than what we've seen in the past. And wherever the 7 goes, it seems like that's where the 38 wants to follow as well. And allowing Douglas Newbigin to kind of be the spearhead to carve his way through this field currently, and being patient, willing to work forward through this race, and it's working for now. But I think it was better when we knew there was a stage we were going to. With the fact that this race, we have no absolute caution that can come out. These drivers here tonight could stay green for the rest of this run. Curious on how you want to attempt aggressive moves here early in this run, because of the fact that we're only 21 laps into using up the tires and fuel into a stint that we're expecting these drivers to go around 76 laps on fuel window for themselves. So we still have another 50 laps to go until potentially our final pit stop of the night.
Yeah, we saw the pace kind of fall off a little bit after 30 or so laps. So we'll see what the pace kind of looks like later in the run, because I mean they're going to double their distance with the tires. We'll see how, if tires are going to be more of a factor to pit for or fuel. But that's a long run, 74 to 76 laps on this concrete surface. Those tires are definitely not going to be happy at the end of these runs.
Absolutely not. Here's going to be the battling going on for second and third position and fourth. Currently, it's Ryan Kelly having a blinking show in front of the Nightmare Fuel drivers, as Kelly was able to get by Vincent Sora, but has just been going absolutely bananas in front of some of the 11. John Forbes, not sure where the 3 went, and this is going to be such a distracting thing to see in front of you, not knowing where the driver is, and then constantly seeing a driver blink in front of you.
Yeah, seeing a driver blink in front of you is always nerve-wracking, because you never know when they're going to reappear, and they could reappear right on your nose or right inside you or right on the outside of you. So it's definitely nerve-wracking to see. Seems his connection seems to be a stable doubt now. So, but John Forbes still going to be sticking behind Ryan Kelly as they just ride along single file. Looks like everyone's just kind of taking it easy up here in front, just going to try to save their tires. Doing a good job of doing that. Just riding around, waiting for that pit stop or an opportunity to make a pass when it's safe and they don't have to use too much of the resources.
As everyone's taking it easy for now, this gives us a period to say thank you to some of the amazing sponsors that help out the WSSR Cup Series. I want to say thank you to GTR Simulators. GTR Simulators is partnering up with the WSSR for this season, and it is an awesome sponsor to be a part of. GTRsimulators.com is where you can go to find experience in pro-level racing at home, as well as you can go check out their new GTA Compact V2 Stake F1 Team Kick Salver setup that they have. It's a racing sim setup where you can go check out. Also, any of their other great apparel and objects that can help you with sim racing. When purchasing, remember to use the promo code WSSR, and remember to go to GTRsimulators.com and use the promo code WSSR. Thank you so much to GTR Simulators for partnering up with the WSSR Cup Series. As well, we want to say thank you to Trophy Smack. Trophy Smack's been the proud sponsor with the WSSR, helping in getting trophies, rings, and more to all customers with sim racing championships, as well as fantasy football championships. Football, crazy to think that it's slowly coming to an end for fantasy side. So if you're looking for a championship trophy for the biggest winner, biggest loser, they've got you covered at TrophySmack.com with pre-made championship trophies, belts, rings, and more, or you can customize them to your own liking. Head on over to TrophySmack.com, and when purchasing, remember to use the promo code WSSR Smack for 10% off. Again, promo code is WSSR Smack for 10% off. Thank you so much to both GTR Simulators and Trophy Smack for being the proud sponsors of the WSSR Cup Series, as the field still has plenty of racing action to go. And currently our winner is James Scioli, winner of our stage break all the way back at the end of lap 35, looking strong. But here's a couple of drivers that have been the big movers so far. Drew Jua, Danny Cochran, both up over 10 positions from where they started. Drew Jua up 12, Danny Cochran up 19 positions from where they qualified. They've been doing a great job, but they kind of stalled out. It's hard to get past some of these drivers further up ahead of you, as it looks like for Drew Jua, Danny Cochran, they're willing to be patient behind the 15 to Ken Campbell.
Yeah, just being patient, saving those tires, looking for the long run, waiting for an opportunity really to present itself. So a lot of the runs kind of have stalled out right now. Tires are kind of a big thing to talk about here at Nashville. So, but still got some good side-by-side racing throughout the field, I believe, in the back. But yeah, I mean, everyone's just kind of taking it easy as we ride along here with the number 4 car, Trevor Earhart.
And Trevor Earhart, one of the drivers that's coming into this season and came in a little bit later. Still looking for a top 10 run if possible. And a couple of other drivers also having decent runs for themselves in recovery. You got Brandon Colley, Ollie Fonseca running with one another. Ollie Fonseca, remember back to the first race of the season, the massive push that helped out Cody Reed to get into victory lane. Brandon Colley, who is a veteran of the WSSR Cup Series, took some time away, returning back this season, and has had unfortunate luck. The same luck that he had that kind of forced him away to take a break has carried over. Tonight, it's been awesome to see that Brandon Colley's aggressiveness is shown up for whenever he feels like he needs to go really wide. He's trying to make the big move on the outside of Fonseca here to take this 22nd position away. 78 of Brandon Colley, had one of his better runs and to finish a race this season. It'll be so massive for Colley here this evening.
No, it definitely would. Brandon Colley has always been one of the faster drivers here in the league, but for some odd reason, just always getting into trouble and just finding the luck, the bad luck, really, in all the races. So, you know, in a race like this, yeah, there might not be a lot of action throughout the field, except for the small passes we have as he's making a pass here on Ollie on the inside. But this could also be a confidence booster for drivers like Brandon Colley, like that of Christopher Norris, and even Vincent Sora, who didn't have a strong, you know, a very good start to the season. Just a race that they're going to be able to finish and at least get a position they kind of expect.
I mean, Richard, I'm curious on your thoughts on it. When you come to a track like we're seeing here tonight, where both you can, if you're willing to dive in there with aggressive speed, you can make a pass on the inside, just like we saw from Douglas Newbigging on Jarrett Talmadge. You've also seen drivers attempt on the outside. Do you feel like it's more of a comfort position for drivers on how they want to approach a pass, or is it just take the opportunities when they're ahead of you?
It can be a little mix of both, because you have to be comfortable to make that pass at times, because if you're not, that's where mistakes can be made, and that's where we'll see the cautions. So a lot of these drivers, I mean, a lot of the moves they're making isn't necessarily something that's out of character for them. It's something they've been doing the entire race, maybe just a slight difference on their entry. So sometimes you do got to make that uncomfortable move, though, to get around someone, because you're both running the same line and about the same speed. You got to try something, but sometimes the comfort pass is the better pass to make, because you get to save tires, and then you get to just drive around someone with little to no problem.
I know we're seeing the close racing action on screen currently. Curious if we can maybe get a little bit of a crank it up segment with these drivers just on top of one another. All of the racing action seen on screen is outside of the top 10. It's those drivers from 11th all the way back to 18th position. Some are willing to go high, some are willing to go low, and let's get a closer feel and crank it up and listen to these engines as drivers are attempting these middle of a stint green flag passes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, from the Crank It Up. Got to see that close racing action from 10th on back. A little bit of scrapes going on with Joshua Kanata as he was trying to find a way to stay in front of the 28 machine of Brian P. Johnson. But these drivers still right on top of one another, and some are searching for the outside groove, but we are now in the range of having green flag pit stops. And we're seeing the field on the fact that they are in that zone where we saw the great fall off on the tires for themselves. And Richard, we are now past green flag runs where the stage ended at the end of lap 35. We're now in the zone where these drivers are really setting it their all. We're seeing the fact that James Scioli is having an even bigger lead than he had previously. But all these other drivers keeping it a lot closer than we did before. That 10th place on back battle is still just growing as a hornet's nest as the run goes on.
Yeah, that group of cars back there battling for P10, it is just growing. There is 2 by 2 again. They're making passes. We've got more excitement coming again. So it's great to see the drivers get back into each other and start making passes. We're not really in single file anymore. As a huge block comes in, but Nick Crawford dives to the inside. Looks like he's going to get the pass done. Also, as he's also going to try to get around Joshua Kanata. The run might stall out a little bit as they come off the turn. Nope, still got a little bit. Going to get to the side of him and going to drag race down the front stretch. But just some fantastic racing from this group in the middle of the field. A little bit of fenders getting into each other there with Zach Hall. But these drivers, and it's the unknown ground now where they're past that stage link and they are doing their best in whatever they can to try to keep these cars straight.
All that knowledge you learned in the stage of did you need to push a little bit more? Did you need to save a little bit more for the long run? Now being utilized. Nick Crawford able to blast his way forward, getting by 3 drivers now into clean air, setting his sights in front for Brian B. Johnson, Douglas Newby, and Zach Hall trying to follow in suit with his Snowy Desert Racing teammate, but kind of getting stalled out. Not even get the same clean run off the exit corner as the 74 did, and he's just staying equal with Chris Stintz, which, I mean, for Stintz, he's willing to fight back and forth currently as the field is all on top of one another in the middle of the pack. Some drivers, though, over the radio, trying to make the call. When do we make our pit stops? Which, with the fact that these drivers can go 74 to 76 laps on fuel, this is right around the edge of the fuel run that you can go. So some drivers feeling like it's go time, and it's Cody Reed, Ollie Fonseca, going to be the first 2 drivers to hit pit road, trying to take us to the end. As well, an update for another driver calling it a night early. Ben Kinney in the 98 machine calling it a night as Ollie Fonseca. You see those right side tires go up. It's 4 tires and a fuel. No black flags for either drivers, so they're going to get a clean launch out. It's making sure you don't get that black flag exiting pit road for both the 25 and the 24.
Yeah, the 25 and 24 feeling like tires were a bigger deal than fuel. So coming in, it felt like maybe they didn't have control of the car like they needed. So these fresh tires are going to give them a little bit more pace, a little more speed. Let's see if this forces the hand of other drivers to join them. But we still have quite a few laps before they need to pit for fuel. So interesting strategy by these two. We'll see what it can do and if it can pay off in their to their advantage.
Yeah, they got another 30 laps until pit stops aren't absolute. We're about 10 to 15 laps away from where you can split the stint in half if you like. So drivers have options out there on course. We'll see as Cody Reed, Ollie Fonseca kind of our control vehicles of what an extreme undercut or being the first drivers to go into pit road. What their strategy call is going to assist them, but this now puts the rest of the field in a weird spot because the fact of now fresh tires are out on course. You get to see how much of a tire difference is like with the 25 and the 24 out on track. Is that closing rate going to be more of a hazard than others, as James Scioli still over a 1.5 second lead over Vincent Sora, John Forbes, and Tom Senchak. Those 3 drivers from Nightmare Fuel feeling very confident for themselves. Then we fall back to this pack of drivers being led by Ryan Kelly, by Drew Jua, Ken Campbell, and Danny Cochran, with Brian Noel also in the mix. And they're just taking it easy at this moment as Ryan McCann looks to be the next driver to head into pit road. And another driver who entered pit road, Ryan Ferraro, caught speeding for the 10 machine. He's got a 40-second hold.
Oh, that is rough. 40 seconds is a huge amount of time. That's definitely going to put him 2 laps down. Coming into pit road is just as important as, saving tires and driving and staying out of trouble on the track. So unfortunate to see. It's going to be hard to recover from that, but very early pits from a lot of drivers. So it's very interesting to see what these guys' strategies are, if they just want to get the speed with the new tires or not. So the leader's still doing a fantastic job. Scioli just seems to have something for this track over the rest of the field, and that lead just keeps growing over Vincent Sora and John Forbes Jr.
Yeah, and that was that weird spot where we were talking about when they were battling back and forth. Is it worth giving up the lead position, that fresh air, for what you maybe thought was protecting your tires? Or was it worth the clean air over that? It looks like for James Scioli, clean air has been the more dominant place to be, as more drivers showing signs to enter pit road and exiting pit road currently. As seen our pole sitter for the night, Thompson Jack, runs fourth. Behind him, there are a lot more other drivers getting chaotic. Here's the battle for 17th place. It's going to be Team Christopher Norris trying to get by Jarrett Talmadge, able to do so. Trevor Earhart in the Ford machine trying to set up as well to follow in soon. Not able to keep the momentum, and they'll get back in line heading into turn number one.
Yeah, this is definitely where all the action is right now, as Earhart is trying to make a look to the inside of the 27 as his nose is there, but we'll see if he can get the run down the backstretch. No, he's going to have to fall right in back behind the 27, so a good attempt, but these guys are definitely fighting back here still, trying to get the passes where they can. Doing a great job also staying out of each other. That's been the most impressive thing. There's been a lot of respect between these drivers all night. Not a lot of fenders being traded between them all. So they're all keeping it clean and being respectful to one another.
Like I said, Nashville Superspeedway, one of those odd tracks where at moments it feels like it's a course that should bring out a lot more wrecks because of the fact of how tight you can get at moments, how loose as well at the exit, and how close drivers are on top of one another. When you look at the past year for the WSSR Cup Series, back in Season 6, had no cautions. At that time, they didn't have stage yellows. When they did have stage yellows back in Season 8, had a total of 4 cautions come out. And here tonight, we've had the one big blip of the Cody Reed incident that was very easy to go back. There's probably been a couple of other incidences that we might have missed throughout the night, but it's kept us clean and green besides their stage yellow. Everyone else has been keeping it neat and tidy. Is that one part of the trace that I'm getting nervous about, on the fact that we do have drivers with fresh rubber compared to those that are on 55 lap old tires. On what is the closing rate difference going to be comparable to? Are drivers going to be just a little bit unaware of how close they're getting to one another? This is those mistake moments that could bring out cautions that we're going to be watching out for as we're just about to be finishing up our second third of the race.
This is where this is, I think, where the tires are going to be the issue that causes an incident. So not necessarily any kind of overly hard racing, but these tires are starting to fall from these drivers. But 27 starting to lose positions as he was passed earlier. Jared Talmadge started pretty high up, down 17 positions. Unfortunate to see, but doing what he can to kind of maintain some spots. He's definitely going to be looking forward to some new tires in a pit stop to get some more speed back into his car.
Absolutely. I think for Jared Talmadge, it's been a lot more of trying to save his tires as much as possible, but just not able to get those positions back by the time the tire wears were gone. As more drivers hitting pit road, Ryan Kelly, Nick Crawford going to be the next two to enter pit road. As we continue to watch the battling that now is on track, these drivers going back and forth for 14 on back. It's Joshua Kanata still kind of that safety valve, the driver ahead of all the chaos that's usually behind him.
Yeah, and he's up top there, letting a lot of cars go by. Just going to take it easy as Christopher Norris and Joshua Kanata's trying to dive. He's going to miss the pit entrance. He's going to have to take another lap, and that's going to be a huge mistake from Kanata, as that lost a lot of speed trying to get into the pit road lane.
That was an aggressive move to give up that much position and go that high and hope that you can just carve your way down with other drivers also thinking about pitting. That was just an overall risky move. I think it's great that he bowed out of trying to even make that entry, but it's so much more time lost because of that aggressive move. And for Joshua Kanata, now will be trying to enter pit road with seeing also Wilkes and others drive on by. You're going to see Samuel Garcia behind the 16 make his pit entry, and this is the lap that a lot of drivers said it's time to go in. Over half the field still yet to go into pit road, but a huge cluster of drivers calling it now that they want to go into pit road.
Yeah, this is a lot of drivers making a decision to come down, get some fresh rubber for their cars because they're starting to feel these tires are just not what they used to be. But Scioli, you see a lot of huge checkup there trying to come into pit road as the Trevor Earhart almost stopped on the track in a huge gaggle of cars on the front stretch.
As Trevor Earhart missing pit entry and it just went wrong. It was John Forbes Jr. hard contact for the 11 that right in front of a lot of drivers that have already pitted. As we'll take another look here on the replay, it's going to be on the exit of turn 4 when the Ford machine tries to make an aggressive pit entry that just went wrong. And I'm surprised to see not a lot of drivers over the radio making the call that they're going into pit road. It's been a lot more drivers making just either no audible call, no other issues. Caution flag is out. We'll get to that. Here's the incident that happened as we were green. Hard contact as John Forbes just got back out on track after his pit stop. But issues on track to bring out a yellow. I don't know, Richard, if maybe you saw where the yellow flag was from, but strikes in the middle of this pit cycle.
Yeah, I did not happen to catch where that was, trying to look for it now, but a lot of drivers on pit road getting service done also when this yellow came out, so that's a benefit for a lot of drivers.
Here it is. It's going to be more drivers trying to get into pit road, and it's going to be a major mistake by Bill Hall in front of the 17. The 48 did a similar action to Trevor Earhart, just missed the timing of going into pit road, slams on the brakes, and just completely slamming is Chris Stitz. Nowhere to go, and the Storm Motorsports nightmare continues on of their bad luck. And here's what happened to the 48 machine to get him in that bad of a situation. As I want to take an outside look picture of where he's at, as riding on board like this isn't going to give us the shot that we're going to be able to see, because I want to see how bad was this entry for himself that he just could not find a way to slow down in time and drop low. It just looked like he hit the brake and then just stayed in the middle of the track as he drifts higher and higher and sees Trevor Earhart going into pit road. It looks like the 48 from here, he wants to make the call into pit road, but goes too wide.
Yeah, it looks like he was trying to follow the number 4 into the pits and just got a little too slow. Probably got on the brakes a little bit too much and it pushed the car high on tight. And then Chris Stitz not expecting the 48 being that slow in the middle of the track. And that is a blown motor for the number 17 driver who started 5th and is probably now not even going to be able to finish this race.
He's in pit road for Chris Stitz. Such a frustrating moment for himself. Bill Hill going to be missing on that entry. Gets just destroyed on the back end. And drivers that were on the lead lap, waiting for their time to enter pit road, will be gifted a chance to stay up front. James Scioli, Brian P. Johnson, Drew Jua, Larry Yingling, Jared Talmadge, Chad Wilkes, as well as Vincent Sora, actually that's going to be Jared Kelly, going to be in 7th place. All will be rewarded with Vincent Sora for staying on the lead, being able to be on the lead lap for this restart, and able to get themselves pit road service, get themselves situated. All drivers from 11th on back trying to take the wave around to get back on the lead lap for themselves. That is so frustrating. They're going to be on older tires, and all of the buildup of pit strategies go out the window for some of these drivers that were taking a gutsy call for some to get a net gain instead. It's a huge net loss.
Yeah, a huge loss for a lot of drivers, but other drivers staying out as long as they can are going to benefit from this caution. So a lot of lap down cars, hopefully they can get their lap back with either a wave around or a lucky dog, but unfortunate timing for the caution to bring everybody down pit road for service.
And looking at where some drivers were on track, because of the timing of how spread out everyone was, catching up to the pace car, some drivers weren't eligible to take the wave around. Those drivers that were caught staying one lap down, Joshua Kanata, Dakota Moniz, Samuel Garcia, Zach Hull, all were not able to take the wave around because of the timing that Scioli caught up to the pace car. And at the time, Scioli had already made his pit stop. He was back on the lead lap. And just that timing hurts those drivers. No wave around for them, but up front, it will be Brian P. Johnson, James Scioli going to be in the front row, 77 control vehicle, and it is green flag racing inside row. It's Lucky Ducks who get the great launch for themselves. Trouble, though, for drivers in the back as they're trying to get themselves rolling. Some weren't able to take off and go, and it's Brian Noel who's going to be caught with a black flag as the rest of the field try to scatter around him, and yellow flag is out with the incident.
Yeah, interesting incident there on the start. Brian Noel gets sideways as the green flag drops. That'll bring us to another caution pretty much right before they could even get anything done. It's just a huge stack up in the back of the field is what kind of started this.
And it's one of those things where drivers took off when they saw a green flag and did not wait for the driver in front of them to take off, and backfires as the field was trying to catch up to those that, after taking the wave around, there were so many drivers that took the wave around. And we're going to see here right on the hood of the 00 what he saw when he tried to take off. He got caught up to the rear end of Brandon Colley, and at this time green flag is waving, takes off, as in everyone in front of him did not, and because of that checkup, big smash for the 00.
Yeah, that's just an unfortunate situation. I think drivers just not really close enough and expecting everyone to go as the green flag drops. But, you know, you can only expect that when you're up front, when you can see the cars actually going. So, unfortunate situation for Noel, getting a really heavy hit into the back of Brendan Colley as well. So, hopefully he can get the damage repaired to get back out on track and kind of salvage something.
Well, as drivers are pacing, I'm curious if we can talk to our leader currently, also as our stage winner. We can talk to him at the stage break, but curious if we can get his thoughts on this upcoming restart. Let's see if we cue up that 77 of James Scioli. James, it's Sam and Richard up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. Winner of the stage, leading currently with your teammates here outside on this upcoming restart. Man, how are you feeling? Because this race looks like it's been a piece of cake whenever you're up front having some clean air.
Yeah, I've been feeling really good. Didn't really want to see that yellow there, but got lucky that I was able to get out of the pits before going a lap down. So just pretty happy about that. Was able to retain the lead there, and just been having fun. This kind of race is like a tire model from about a year or so ago, and everything was kind of on the bottom. All the setups were a little bit tight, so you couldn't really get off the bottom. So I felt like I've just done a really good job just sticking to that yellow line and saving my right front better than most. I was kind of worried on that last run, kind of got out to about a 1.5 second lead early. It looked like everybody was super saving, so I was worried that they might come charging back, but luckily I was just able to keep the right front on it, use the clean air, and just get out of the draft and put my head down and go. So
Yeah, it kind of looks like you're just putting a class onto the rest of the field here. It seems like this kind of track and this surface just kind of fits your driving style. Is that about how you're driving the night and how you feel?
yeah, definitely. I've always just like painting the bottom, painting the line. So definitely struggle more if the groove's up top or if we got to move around. Just kind of happy that I've just been able to park it right on that yellow line and just be easy on the throttle and keep the tires on it.
I mean, James kind of touched on it because of the update that came out yesterday. How much of a huge difference has that tire model been feeling like tonight? Because we really weren't sure fully on how it was going to feel here at Nashville.
Yeah, tough to tell. I don't know what all they changed yesterday. The big update was about, I guess it's probably been almost a year now. They've been making kind of some tweaks to it, and it definitely changed things a lot, especially at a lot of different tracks. Like you saw Atlanta, we were able to run the top last week, so just kind of changes things. It's difficult to tell, and you never know. I mean, weather plays such a big part in it, and so many different factors, so it's tough to tell what all has an effect. But I'm liking it, so hopefully we can just go green here the rest of the way and can just get a good jump here and get going.
Well, good luck, James. We'll send you back to your team, and good luck on this restart.
Thanks, guys.
It's going to be the Lucky Ducks driver of James Scioli that we got to talk to. Also was the stage winner. He's hoping to find himself in victory lane and to be our 5th different winner this season. We already had 5 different pole sitters so far. The field is stacked up and ready to go as your Music City Rumble 225 is ready to get back underway. It's going to be James Scioli, Drew Jewett going to be the front row, taking off in go mode. Some drivers stuck it down the inside. That's going to be Bill Hell, but up front, it's going to be the Lucky Duck drivers. Kind of seemed like they was fending on your own and hope for the best. Gave an opportunity for Brian P. Johnson, but gets tight in the center. And it's Drew Jewett holding on for second place.
Drew doing a good job holding on to second place. James Scioli getting another great launch, jumping out front and extending that lead. And like you just heard, he's painting that inside line, keeping that yellow there. Trying to paint it black, though. doing a great job. He leads the first lap of the restart, and the drivers all side by side with just under 50 laps to go in this race. It is go time for all the drivers.
It's go time right now, and a few drivers on extremely old tires. Cody Reed, Ollie Fonseca, drivers that were on the oldest of all tires. Ollie did decide to go into pit road to get service done. Cody Reed did not. He's on 25-lap old tires. Some others are on 10-lap old tires. The rest of the field, they're on 7 to 5. Technically only about 2 of green flag racing laps on these sets of tires. So there is a massive difference. Some are trying to just hold on for dear life, but up front, it's the Lucky Duck crew going to be trying to pull away, and the madness is happening just outside of our top 15.
Yeah, a lot of madness just outside the top 15 with Trevor Earhart. They were 3 wide. They're still 3 wide with Douglas Newbig and Cody Regan, Danny Cochran. It just widespread throughout the track as they all line back up, and just great moves for everybody, keeping it clean, keeping it straight, coming across the start-finish line, and the race is on now.
It's certainly on. Skyoli and Drew Jua are going to be trying their best to stay 1-2. Larry Engling runs in third. The rest of the field, where do you find your footing, take off and go? Some drivers with the freshest of rubber of anyone on track. Ryan Kelly in the 3 machine runs in 16th position. You can see there in front of the 4 of Trevor Earhart, trying their best to take off and go as they race by the start-finish line. We've seen also Brian McCann, also Ollie Fonseca. They're trying to find their openings on the outer groove as Kelly slows down. Earhart almost wasn't able to check up on that huge closing entry, and Ashley is going to be forcing the four almost into a 3-wide situation as McCann makes the outside lane work.
McCann making the pass on the outside from the number 4 of Earhart. Earhart got a little squirrely coming out of the turn, was able to keep it off the drivers. Looks like he's gotten to the door a little bit of Ollie Fonseca. It shoots down the track. Trevor is struggling right now as he's just losing positions after position. I wonder what's going on with him today.
It seems like he's pushing the car a little bit too much. He's not on extremely old tires comparatively to everyone else. He was able on our previous caution get tires, so this is just a handling issue of it just not feeling comfortable, maybe pushing the car a little bit more to not lose as much track position. But it has backfired the last few laps. Christopher Norris finally able to dash down in front of the 4 and complete that pass for himself, and everyone else staying in line. In front of them, though, starting to see a few drivers for 13th position racing side by side, and it's Douglas Newbig, another Lucky Ducks driver, trying to find a way to catch up to his teammates. Early on in the first 50 laps, you could say that it was all nightmare fuel. Well, now Lucky Ducks has flipped the switch for the final third of this race. They're the ones that are on the move and try to be the dominators in the front.
Yeah, Douglas Newbig doing a fantastic job starting way back in like the 31st position. He's up 18 from where he started, 19 now as he passes Ken Campbell, or tries to, but he is on the move. He's trying to get up there and join the other Lucky Ducks drivers and show that this team is here to play here at Nashville, and he's getting ready to make that pass on Ken Campbell on the inside.
Back early in the broadcast, before we started the race, we had our pick on the driver we said to watch out for. I picked Douglas Newbig mainly because he has shown strength at the concrete courses, and here tonight, showing it once again. He got his first win back at Dover 2 seasons ago. He'd love to get another win on that category if possible here tonight. Seems like it might be a little bit out of reach for a win, might need a little bit of help on cautions and timings of yellows. But at this current time, great speed by the 7 as he still fights side by side with Ken Campbell. Up front, it's still going to be James Skyley, Douglas Newbig, going to be 1-2. The gap starting to space out between those drivers. It's everyone from 4th on the back that just cannot get away, being led by Brian P. Johnson. Also, you have Chad Wilkson trying to get through the thick of it. It's the 51 of Vincent Sora.
Vincent Soro used to be up front, just 1 or 2 cars ahead of him, but now he's starting to get back into the pack a little bit, surrounded by cars. Probably not a sight he really wants to see. Maybe some flashbacks of the first 3 races, but still doing a good job, starting to pull away from them and get around the cars he needs to. Going to try to make a charge to get back up front and make a run with his teammates to try to get up to the lead again, as they're still side by side back here in like the 15th position.
Thompson checks Edward Hunter. Going swapping back and forth. The Jared Talmadge on the outside groove. Everyone taking it easy for now, but these laps ticking away. The aggression levels will ramp up. And if we're some of these drivers in the middle of this grouping, Because again, this is all the battling that we're seeing on screen is from the drivers from 4th all the way back to around 15th place. How do you mentally set up knowing that we're coming up to 30 laps to go? In those 30 laps, you can save your tires for the final 15 laps and then push and go aggressive. Or do you take your position now and hope that you can defend? Because it seems like every decision going to be a hard one to make is dropping down. Ken Campbell, late move that spooked Douglas Newbiging from thinking about going 3 wide.
Douglas Newbiging backing off, not taking it 3 wide. Cedric Hunter dropped down low to block Ken Campbell also as they drop down to the yellow line and ride it around. But side-by-side racing here, and they're just fighting. It's the cars behind, they want to see that because that's just going to burn their tires up, so it's going to allow them to catch back up and challenge them later. But Cedric Hunter still challenging side-by-side with the number 55 there. And just Jared Kelly not wanting to give up either, tries to surge a little bit, but it looks like Hunter might be able to complete the pass here as they come across the front of the stretch.
Only stays in front of that color pitting machine. We're trying to find ways to go forward is, if possible, as Jared Kelly right now in 55, having one of his better runs of the season, 11th place. Find a way to move forward as Vincent Sora had his best finish of the season last week at Atlanta 08, finishing 5th, and is hoping to climb a little bit more forward as for Vincent Sora, still so deep in the points. He had one of his better runs that helped him gain in points. He was around 38th position in points, able to move up to 32nd in points after last week's run. Here tonight, he might need another top 3 for the next 4 races if he wants to really feel solidified closer to the top 20. Currently, right now, we're right on board with the 15 of Ken Campbell as he's going back and forth with Jared Kelly to his outside. They still keep it side by side for now. Other drivers trying to find their own ways. How do you set up for these final 30 laps? Because Richard, this is when the game's on. So much tire difference is going to happen in these next 30 laps if we stay green.
Yeah, the tire difference is going to play a huge factor into the end of this race as we are still side by side with these 4 drivers here fighting for the top 10 as Danny Cochran dives to the middle, making it 3 wide, but they're able to get around and line back up straight. But Douglas Newbiging still side by side as that was a scary moment for a second, but around the turn they get and clear and clean they make it.
This is around that time that we saw that last green flag run where the 2 was just saying it's go time, flips a switch, and it's go forward as quickly as you can. And Danny Cochran saw an opportunity, didn't want to give up on it, and pounced on that chance. Also want to give an update for one of the drivers further on back. We saw being involved with our big green flag caution. Bill Hull going to be involved with another incident, overcorrected in the outside wall. We stayed green, but required damage, forcing the 48 into pit road. As we move up to the battling for 6th, it's now the 11 of John Forbes Jr. and Chad Wilkes going to be going back and forth. And I mean, Richard, it's crazy to think we were talking about how Chad Wilkes was just struggling. He was falling back almost all the way back to 30th position. And with the time in the yellow, placed him back up front. And he's doing a much better job of holding these top positions.
He's doing a fantastic job, and that yellow fell at a great time for him. He's also on 5-lap newer tires than that of John Forbes, and he's still trying to challenge him to take this position. But John just doesn't want to give it up. He might have the run coming out of the turn, and it looks like he will clear him on the backstretch as they get ready to go into turn 3. But Chad Wilkes is definitely on the move a little bit on these slightly newer tires than a lot of these drivers in front of him.
Last lap was a 30.5 compared to a leader of James Scioli at 30.3. They cross the line again and continues to be side-by-side battling, but it's James Scioli has been recaught by going to be Drew Jua. Larry Yingling also trying to stay in touch, and the gap built up to almost a half a second. Drew has cut it down by 3/10, and we're now into the funnest part of this race. To be less than 25 laps to go, and Drew Jua, winner from Pocono, would love to get a 2nd win of the season, but how aggressive do you want to race around your teammate knowing there's a 3rd competitor lingering behind? It's the 3-time champ of the WSSR Cup Series, Larry Yingling, lingering in 3rd.
Yeah, Drew Jua could be catching up to James Scioli, just kind of help his teammate out, maybe help him get a win, play a little defensive for him, give that extra car that Larry Yingling has to pass before he can make a move on the leader. So we'll have to see what they decide to plan out for the rest of this race, but these two might just sit 1-2 and try to benefit off each other off a good race, and still allow us to have maybe a fifth new winner with James Scioli at the end of this race.
Trying to continue on with the trends we've seen so far in this season as top three continue to fight back and forth. You can see that pot of drivers being led by Danny Cochran in 10th position. It's 2 by 2 behind the two machine. That's Nick Crawford, Jared Talmadge. They'll be side by side. Ken Campbell, Ryan Kelly, Douglas Newbegin, who was trying to find a way to catch back up to the rear bumper of Danny Cochran. Just has 4 drivers that are not making it very easy to move forward.
No, it is definitely not. He is trying to weave in and out of traffic and find the spots where he can get some clean air to make these passes happen. And he is just not passing the cars he needs to pass. And gets side by side with Ken Campbell. Looks like they laid on each other's door a little bit, not terrible, but Nick Crawford doing a good job passing on the inside, and Douglas is going to sit there and follow him along the inside as well, try to get more cars passed by.
Every little bit possible at this moment as we're closing in on 20 laps to go. It's still James Scioli leading the charge. Everyone else trying to have one of their better finishes if possible. We have Danny Cochran up 7 spots from where he started. Same for John Forbes, running in 6th, up 7 spots. A couple of other drivers having some quiet runs. So you see, just attaching himself to the rear of this group, Ali Fonseca, fresh rubber, trying to find a way to get by as well for the 38 of Christopher Norris. A very odd, quiet night for the 38, who usually tries to find a way to be in the action, making big moves, big blocks. Here tonight, he has been quiet and has been finding himself moving up 12 positions from where he started, and not the worst night in the world. And for maybe trying to have a clean race overall, he's had a pretty good one now with 20 laps to go.
Yeah, Christopher Norris has actually had a pretty quiet season so far. He's been kind of just sitting back and getting into just it seems to be a calming mood of what his racing has normally been and what I've experienced alongside of him. But now he's kind of had a quiet season, and he's had a lot of unfortunate moments as well, just like that of Vincent Sora, but doing a good job just kind of being quiet, making the small passes when it's necessary. But looks like Ali Fonseca is going to be making a pass on Christopher Norris on those newer tires.
Drivers making pass. Ken Campbell, Douglas Newbegin still cannot figure out who wants to really be in this spot. They're now losing touch to Jared Talmadge and Nick Crawford. That gets in line and are moving forward. Speaking about moving forward, we're starting to see some action. 3rd place, new drivers in line. It's Brian P. Johnson, Larry Yingling, and Vincent Sora now going to be the drivers battling for 3rd place. Yingling, who once was right on the tail bump, was right on the back bumper of our top 2, falling back to the 28 machine, the season 1 champion of Johnson. Not able to really find the exit speed he was looking for. They got a little bit too tight. But I got to say, Richard, this has been a great run for the 28 machine, who decided to run part-time this season. And is having one of his better runs in the season so far, with Vincent Sora also seeing a chance of a season best finish here tonight.
Yeah, these two drivers are really showing up tonight for a great run. And this group of 3, whether they've been racing really hard trying to pass each other side by side or whatnot, and Vincent Sora's looking below, try to make it 3 wide, not going to have the speed, going to back off, and she's going to follow Brian P. Johnson around, try to get past Larry Yingling here. But the top 2 Lucky Duck Motorsports drivers, and Drew Jewell and James Scioli, has kind of checked out with a 2 3/10 second lead over that of Brian P. Johnson, who was able to get around Larry Yingling.
Able to get by. Vincent Sora going to be trying to follow in suit as well. And Vincent Sora, Brian P. Johnson, former teammates of Nightmare Fuel, as Johnson went part-time, picked up John Forbes Jr. to take that spot. And speaking about John Forbes Jr., well, there he is, now entering the picture, catching up to the battling side-by-side drivers for 4th place, as well as trying to tag along with them. Tom Cedric, our pole sitter, Cedric Hunter, starting to see some of those drivers close in. As 3rd place loses touch toward top 2, they just continue to gaggle back up, and we're seeing another pod, another pack, you could say, that's building now for that 3rd back to around 9th place position.
That's that's the downside about side-by-side racing that they've been doing, trying to make these passes. You're going to slow every single one of you down to let the cars behind you catch. And it looks like John Forbes is going to give a shove to Larry Yingling to push that group on the outside up. But John Forbes is going to make an out pass on the outside. They're 3 wide, and Vincent Soar is going to back off and try to get back in line. But John Forbes really aggressive, trying to make that pass on the outside of Larry Yingling.
And these aggressive moves, I mean, I've gotten used to seeing it. Monday nights in the truck series for the ISRC Truck Series, we see this 11 make similar moves. If he sees there's an opportunity to go for a pass, he will put the vehicle there, and it will usually stick and carry speed. And just like that, give 3 positions to John Forbes. Went from battling back in 6th place, now slot him up into 3rd. Forbes says, follow me. I will see if I can run down these Lucky Duck drivers. That last lap, Forbes ran a 30.9-second lap time. We're going to get a clearer picture of these next few laps because I'm looking at James Scioli. No one is running even close to that 77th pace. John Forbes, though, is the closest, just 1/10 off.
Yeah, James Scioli doing a fantastic job. He's just racing a time trial right now, just throwing down the fastest laps he can. But with nobody to challenge him, he's not burning his tires up and not using those resources like everyone else is when they're racing side by side. But let's see if John Forbes, now with some clean air, if he can get those time trial style laps down and try to catch the Lucky Duck drivers in 1 and 2.
Tom Sinchek also finds a way to get by the 3 drivers of Vincent Sora, Johnson, Yingling. Those 3, they have battled one another so aggressively and difficultly that they are just an easy trio to get by. Tom Sinchek, John Forbes, they've sneaked their way through. It looks like now the Hello Kitty machine might have a chance to get by these 3 drivers. If you get close to them, you're usually getting by, and now Danny Cochran going to be the next driver to follow in suit as Cedric Hunter gets a little bit blocked in and forced to follow the 51. We've got 10 laps to go for James Scioli here tonight.
10 laps to go for James Scioli to see that checkered flag and get his first win of the season. And it looks like everybody's starting to fall in line. It feels like they might have used up a little bit too much of their stuff, let those tires cool down a little bit. But we'll see as they're still trying to pass up there. Cedric Hunter going to the inside, trying to make a pass. And we'll see if he can get it done. Danny Cochran looking up and seeing that, maybe trying to get the run and hoping they get side by side again so he can start making moves as well.
As fast as made. Cedric Hunter going to be slotted up in the 5th, trying to follow Tom Sinchek, John Forbes forward as these lap times are quick by the 13, but it's so far back. I don't know if there's enough time to catch up to that leader. James Scioli has done a fabulous job building up this gap, just running quick lap after quick lap, and everyone else now trying to find ways to get by the slower drivers that overcook their tires for the late run as the laps continue to dwindle away. Now going to be 8 laps, going to be 7 when they cross the line again for James Scioli, and Lucky Duck's got to be feeling one of the better runs so far for James Scioli, who I feel like we all knew entering this season was going to be one of the bigger threats of the rookie class, and he proved it here tonight with the changes, the updates, taking past experiences. James Scioli is showing why he will be a threat to watch out for the rest of this season, because if this new tire model, the new changes that iRacing has done for these vehicles, if it does this at every track, Scioli is going to be the favorite to watch out for.
Oh, he definitely will. He's doing a great job with this new tire model on these cars. And it just doesn't look like he has actually used any bit of his tires. Those times are still probably some of the fastest on the track. There's a few that might be a little faster, but he is just a rocket ship out there in the lead as we got 7 laps to go. And he's just putting 6 laps to go, and he's just putting on a show in a class for everyone to go back and watch.
6 laps to go. Let's also give a shout out to our charity event that we're going to be having January 4th. It's our 6 hours at Daytona. Don't want to miss out on it. We'll touch more on our 6-hour event after interviews as the post-race show going to be right after this race, talking to our top 3 drivers as well to a spotlight driver on their thoughts, getting you prepared for the rest of the week and next week of our broadcast, and talking about our charity event that we have once again January 4th will be the day. You can sign up now. Go to our social media sites on Facebook and Twitter to go see all the information to sign up, donate, or just share about our upcoming event. as James Scioli continues to just prove lap after lap that this was his race to lose. The 77 just missed out on the pole time by 2/100ths of a second. But ever since he grabbed the lead, that clean air has proved that he was the driver to stop. But hold on, this race isn't over yet. Richard, let the fun begin. We got a caution in the middle of the field.
Drama at the end of this race, a flag that Scioli did not want to see. The yellow is out with 4 laps to go, and that will guarantee we have an overtime in green-white checkers. Scioli now has to make a decision. I guarantee you a lot of the drivers behind him will pit for fresh tires, but does he want to be the one that makes that decision and lead everybody, or and get passed by those that want to stay out? Or is he going to stay out and hope nobody else goes in?
We're going to move up to where Ollie Fonseca is. The 24 was the driver in this replay that coming off the exit of turn 4. He's going to be trying to race up, contact with Chad Wilkes. They're going to be pushing high, but then it's Justin Malarkey and Joshua Kanata trying to force it 4 wide. Doesn't work. Pinched it all around. Zach Hall going to be around the mixture, but just more and more drivers piling in. And this is the caution with 3 laps to go that sends us to overtime.
An unfortunate, that's just hard racing right there, and it just kind of looked that Earhart did not slow down in time and got in the back of Ollie Fonseca and kind of started the chain reaction and caused a whole bunch of cars to get involved in this. Unfortunate to see. Scioli did not want to see this flag at all, and just huge hits for all drivers involved.
As there's just nowhere to go. And oh, another hard contact, another one piling in. Trevor Earhart turning into an absolute battering ram of drivers plowing through as the field just was trying to find a safe place to be. Here's what it was like for Trevor Earhart, though, in the cockpit of this replay. Just in the middle of things here, saw the wreck, gives contact to Kanata, and then thinks he's clear, he's not. Well, that's unfortunate, but it gets even worse with these contacts later on.
And 2 massive hits after the accident happened. Cars just coming through, trying to get through the wreck, and just probably did not see Trevor and just straight drove into him. It's that target on the rear corner of that car, I think. It's what they were aiming for, it seemed. But unfortunate event there. It looks like everybody came down to pit, but Justin Malarkey staying out with 44-lap-old tires.
Who was involved in that incident? So Malarkey didn't have any damage. Thought, let's give it a try. I feel like in official races, as on iRacing, there's only 1 overtime attempt. This strategy isn't a bad one with how aggressive some of these drivers are going to be racing here tonight. But Malarkey going to be the wild card to watch out for on this restart on 44 older laps than everyone else who just went into pit road. But what makes the rest of the field interesting is some drivers took 2. Majority of those that were inside of our top 10 took 2 tires on their pit stops. First driver to take 4 was Cedric Hunter back in 9th. This is going to be that situation, Richard, of, well, which tire situation are you feeling the most comfortable with? Because James Scioli, this is his race to lose at this point. He'll be on the inside with Justin Malarkey, who the biggest worry for James Scioli is to make sure this 73 doesn't wheel spin into him.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing. That's going to be out of his hands also. He's just got to wait for Justin Malarkey to start and hope that he doesn't spin out with those, with old tires. But I think once the cars get going, Scioli's going to make that pass pretty smoothly and easily around Malarkey with the amount of, difference in tires there. So it's going to be an interesting start. We're back to 2 wide racing, and I think the aggression is now going to be through the roof. And we're going to see a lot more passing than we've seen basically the rest of the race.
It's very simple. If we get a caution on this first lap, we will head into overtime number 2. If we stay green, this race will become official. It's your Music City Rumble 225 presented by Larry Art Productions. Everyone backs off. They all give Malarkey space. They wanted to make sure he didn't wheel spin, and he took off and go. Rest the field. They have to run down and catch this 73. It won't take long. Scioli's already passed, and the 77 rocket ship and go. Let the race be on for the teammates. It's Lucky Ducks all going to be on top of one another. It's Drew Jua, Scioli going to be 1, 2, heading in down into turn number 3. Everyone trying to cycle past the 73 of going to be Justin Malarkey, but as they exit at turn number 4, we stay clean, we stay green. This race is official. It's Scioli, it's Drew Jua as they head into turn number 1.
Now the car's coming around turns 1 and 2. White flag lap. There it is. James Scioli got his teammate Drew Jua right on his bumper. Will Drew make the move? He is going to look inside, jumps back behind him. Not going to try to make a move on his teammate. James Scioli coming around, going to see the checkered flag. Drew Jua will chase him from behind. John Sinchek in third. James Scioli will win the race here in Nashville.
It was a close battle for second place. Drew Jua will hold on for second. Tom Sinchek for third. Make it 5 races, 5 different pole sitters, and 5 different winners. We continue on the trend of proving how impressive this field is, how everyone practically has a chance to win. And at the end of the day, it's James Scioli, the dominator of the evening, who will take the victory. Even with the scare of the fact that Justin Malarkey on 44 older laps than everyone else, he was still able to stay out of the way, let drivers drive on by, and it's the 77 that takes the charge. The teammates got to be enjoying this one as James Scioli, winner of the stage, and he will also be the winner of your Music City Rumble 225 presented by Larry Art Productions. Well, as the 77 gets to burn it down for us, we will step away. We will talk to our winner of James Scioli, Drew Jua, Tom Sinchek, and a spotlight driver right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WSSR Cup Series. Race 5 is in the books for your Music City Rumble 225, presented by Larry Art Productions. taking the victory. He was the dominator of the night. It goes to the 77 machine of going to be James Scioli. James, it's Sam and Richard up in the booth. You win the stage. You come up just shy for the pole, and ultimately you take the win there in dramatic fashion. Know you were hoping it would have stayed green, but that overtime attempt, you made it look easy taking the lead position and holding back your teammate. How are you feeling after this incredible performance here tonight?
Man, feeling pretty good. Definitely was a little bit more drama filled than I was hoping at the end. So it just had kind of checked out there. So was obviously hoping it would stay green. And then on the restart, I didn't really know Justin went like way before the restart zone. So it really threw me off. I didn't know if anybody was going to get a better jump than me, maybe be able to jump to my outside. But I think we were all kind of confused at the same time. So luckily, I was just able to keep the clean air and just hit my marks there and get to the checker flag.
Yeah, it's just a class race today that you put on, and Lucky Ducks won too. What was the team chat like coming up to the final lap? Coming to the checkered flag between you and Drew Jua.
Oh, I just let Drew know early on that I'm here to race. I know that we're teammates. Obviously, don't want to wreck each other, but I'm here to race. So if he gets a move, he gets a run, he gets to my inside, outside, whatever. We're here to race. We're here to put on a show. We're not gonna just pull over and let a teammate win. So I know he was trying to build a run there in that last corner. I tried to take a high arc and kind of take it away, and it looked like he got pretty tight behind me. So he was definitely trying behind me. There were no team orders there.
Well, James, we are now going to be entering into a road course next week. We're heading to a very different track than you traditionally take these vehicles. We're heading to the Red Bull Ring and then a holiday break. So, what is your thoughts heading into next week and trying to get prepared for a break that's just right around the corner?
Yeah, definitely gonna have to run some laps at Red Bull Ring. I really like the NASCAR stuff on road courses, so I think I should have okay pace, but don't really have many laps around Red Bull Ring. I just bought it not too long ago, so definitely gonna have to get some laps in for that one, and hopefully can have another good points day going into the break, especially after having to disconnect early last week. So yeah, just keep trying to build points and I guess I'm locked into the playoffs now, so that's big. But just keep trying to build playoff points and make the playoff run a little bit easier in the future.
Well, certainly it was an extremely impressive run here tonight, James, on this victory. I know it was, like I said, a little bit more dramatic than maybe you wish it would have been at the end, but congratulations on this win. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, first off, got to shout out the admin team and you guys. Thank you guys for donating your time here, helping us put on these races. Really cool what you guys do. Very professional. Definitely will like to go back and watch this one. So big shout out to you guys, and then shout out Lucky Ducks 1, 2, and 7. So big team points race there. I think we were third coming in. So hopefully we've made some jumps. And then big shout out to Lucky Ducks, Meal on Wheels, Mobile One, Team Rubicon, and Simrap Market for being on the car. And hopefully, we're talking to you guys again next week.
We're hoping for that as well. That'll be your winner here tonight for the Music City Rumble 225 of James Scioli. James, enjoy this one, and good luck next week at the Red Bull Ring.
Thanks, guys.
As we move from victory lane, we go down to second place to talk to his teammate, a driver that has been up front. He's done it all throughout the season of working his way to the lead, to at least the top 5, top 3. We've got Drew Jua with us. Drew, a little bit more of an antsy finish than we were expecting it to be, but you come away second here tonight. Man, how are you feeling after your performance here at Nashville?
I feel pretty great. I started 19th tonight. I kind of botched my key lap. I didn't hit it like I wanted to, and drove through the field pretty fast using that top side before the stage, and I kind of killed my stuff. And John and I both got through the field pretty well, and I think he finished 8th, and I finished 9th in stage. So haven't been able to get a lot of stage points compared to last year. I feel like I had the most after about 5, 6 races last year, and I think I've just eclipsed double digits. So not as good as a season that in that aspect, but continue to get good finishes. This is my 3rd top 2 of the year, and the only 2 places I haven't finished in the top 2 is at my home track. So it's been a lot of fun, though. I've had a lot of fun racing these mile and a halfs, 2-mile tracks, and we go to Red Bull Ring. I haven't run that in the next gen, so that should be fun. I think, are we racing next week or is the week after that? Because I know we got a 2-week break.
We got next week at the Red Bull Ring and then our 2-week break.
Okay, yeah. So looking forward to Red Bull Ring. I ran pretty well at our kind of wild horse, wild card road track last year, and then I had a fuel issue, and then that all went to whatever. So, um, like I said, nice to get a top two finish. I got to give a big shout out to James there. He was kind of coaching me how to get some clean air and kind of save the right front because those first two runs we had, I was really struggling. So
Well, you still did a fantastic job tonight. Another kind of back from the back of the field start to the front. It's kind of starting to be your MO, it seems like. But are you kind of worried about qualifications nowadays? You're just going to keep doing what you're doing and working on that long run pace.
yeah, I would like to start up front. With these next gens, tire temp is a really big factor, and I didn't really think about it until like right now, honestly, about like putting tire temps, getting the tires up to temp. So I don't think I capitalized on that for my qualifying run. That's why I qualified mid pack. But I gotta give a quick shout out. I know you're about to talk to him, but Douglas Newbigging, he's had kind of the same kind of season as I have. His qualifying aspect, we both struggled qualifying wise, and we end up making it to the front most of the time, and we're up there for the end of the finish. But wish we could have got one there. I didn't really have anything for James on the long run. He was starting to pull away from me right before we got the yellow, but it's nice to get a P2 finish. And looking forward to next week at the Red Bull Ring.
Excited for that race also. I know, Drew, it only came out yesterday, but with tonight's experience on the track with this new tire model that they're working with, were you noticing any big differences maybe from practicing for this race to the way that it performed tonight, or was it all just learn in the moment this evening?
With each update, at least a big update, I feel like cars and tires, they switch a little bit. I don't know like the terms for it, but racing here last time, it does feel a little tighter. I'm not sure if there's setup aspect, but it was a little tighter than I really expected it. I think that had a little bit to do with the night. I felt like we were really gripped up, and it really burns off the right front. Whereas if you're in the day here, you kind of burn off that right rear. So I did notice a little bit, but I've only run two races now since the update came out. So I'll have to figure it out, see what's kind of different. But speaking about updates, I know that they added the new gravel and the dirt spread on the track for road courses. So that's going to be a little bit of an interesting factor going into Red Bull Ring because all it takes is for one person to get off. And I saw Jordan's bottom split. He was streaming yesterday, showing how the cars react to it. So it's going to be interesting running over that, especially going like 100, 150. So a lot of new update. With every new update, I feel like there's some new factor at play. So like I said, looking forward to Red Bull Ring and what kind of, I guess, chaos it bring.
And we're excited for it as well. Well, Drew, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, shout out to Cedric and everybody that runs the league. Shout out to you guys for always doing a fantastic job in the booth and speaking to everybody each week. And shout out to John and Meals for Wheels for bringing me on for another season. And like I said, looking forward to next week and the 2 week break follows it.
We're excited for next week as well. That will be your second place finisher here tonight of Drew Jua and the 88 machine. Drew, congratulations on second place here tonight, and good luck next week.
Yep. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
You too. As we move from second place, we go down to third position to talk to a driver that has had a rough start to the season, but showed some incredible pace here tonight. We've got the pole sitter of the evening coming away third of Tom Senchek. Tom, it's been a while. It's myself, Sam Dyer, and Richard Wolsifer up in the booth. How are you feeling coming away with third here tonight?
I'm feeling good. That was a sweaty race, but I'm glad that caution at the end didn't cost us because we felt pretty good on the long run there. We probably would have finished third anyway, but yeah, happy with the position.
So you were doing really good, Tom. Unable to keep up with Scioli's pace there. Is there anything you think you could have changed to maybe catch him later in these runs?
No, honestly, because we were talking about it during the race. We were thinking that he was driving too hard. And as the laps clicked away, we noticed that we weren't catching up, even though we were going a little bit harder towards the end of the runs. We kind of stabilized during one of those runs, and that was kind of a little miniature win for us. But I think the only way we were going to beat him was on a like a green white checker or something where we could sneak ahead of him, because on the long runs he pretty much had it.
I know, Tom, you've been getting a lot better at looking strong in the beginnings of races. You're kind of been having bad luck finishing the way that you would prefer to. How do you feel like you can carry tonight's momentum into the rest of the season as we're heading to a road course and then we have the holiday break?
I'm feeling okay about the race after the road course. I like Kansas. I've won a few races at the Red Bull Ring in the next gen cars, but not with these guys. These guys are on another level. They're super good. Everybody on the track is actually really, really good, especially on road courses. There's a bunch of ringers that I'm gonna have to tend with, but I'm hoping for like a top 10 next week. That would be nice because my points have been pretty bad, and I'm just gonna try and claw my way back into it, and we'll see what we could do towards the end of the season.
We're hoping for this success to continue on, Tom. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, shout out to Nightmare Fuel. Everybody ran really good. I think all of us were in the top 11. Everybody was a super clean. We had 2 yellows, I think, not including the stage. So really, really clean, especially up front where I was lucky to be all day. Like Drew and Scioli and all those guys, they race you really clean, and you got to respect that. But yeah, it was a clean race, and I'm really happy that it wasn't one of those caution fests, because those are just boring.
They certainly can be. Well, Tom, a great run for yourself. We're happy to see that you were able to get a top 3 finish here tonight. Enjoy it, and good luck next week at the Red Bull Ring.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You too. As we move to our, it's going to be 7th place position for the number 7 machine, we got our spotlight driver going to be Douglas Newbigging. Douglas, I mean, you started in the back, was our biggest mover of the day from 31st position up to 7th. How are you feeling? Because it looked like you were being methodical for most of the evening, taking these positions away, but it just seemed like if you had qualified better, you would have been a threat up front.
I mean, yeah, I'm good at doing that though. Hitting the wall qualifying and qualifying all the way dead last and driving away through the front. I think I've done it. What now? I think 3 of the races we've had this year, so 3 to 5, so not bad. Yeah, I had a really fast car tonight. Definitely just couldn't really use it track position wise. I mean, I just kept getting held up there. I mean, me and Cody Reed, we had a good lap. We had probably a good battle for 25 laps, I think. Then me and Campo, we probably fought for 30 laps just side by side. Like, not exaggerating, 30 laps, like literally 30 laps side by side we're fighting for there. It's just every single time it was great racing, yeah, but it just killed my stuff. And, by then everyone in front of me is the second out, everyone behind me right on my bumpers. So, yeah, just needed to qualify a little better, that's all. So, should be easy to do.
Yeah, you had a rough qualifying. It was sad to see you start that far back, but a phenomenal run coming back up through the field. Is there anything you think you could have changed besides qualifying that you could have done different to possibly gone a little bit further, maybe even got that top 5?
I mean, really, maybe just be more aggressive. Maybe throw a slide job when I first caught some people, instead of trying to, just keep wrapping bottom, just killing my stuff. But yeah, I guess maybe the only other thing I could probably say was just stay out longer. Try to catch that caution that came out when green flag pit stop started. I pitted at lap 95 and the caution came out, I think, like 2 laps later. So I just kind of messed myself up there. But should have expected that, honestly. This pit road is pretty hard to get through, and I knew some people were struggling already on tires and whatnot. So I should have realized, like, hey, if people are already tight and plowing up the track, when they go break for pit road, they're just going to plow up the track. So probably should have thought about that a little more critically. But yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? Still finish up 7th, so we'll take that.
It's a great way to finish, starting so far back, Douglas. For this rest of the year, we got one more race left before we take our 2-week break. How are you feeling heading into next week at the Red Bull Ring? That's going to be the last race before that break.
I didn't even buy the track yet, so that's where I'm at mentally with it. I'm saying that the 7th place finish, that's pretty solid, so that'll carry me to next week, whatever happens. Just gonna probably pick off some scraps, I think, at Red Bull, and then we'll go on from there. Hopefully, just I'm probably aiming for a top 20. I'd probably give myself top 20. I'll be happy there. So.
For some people, that's the best mentality to have for a better finish at a road course. Douglas, congratulations on 7th here tonight. And before we let you go, floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Thank you. All right. No Kid Hungry, big sponsor on this car, as you can tell. Shout out to them. Team Rubicon, Simrat Market, if you want to get this great design, base set design, go to Simrat Market. They got it there, all nice and fun. Tiltify, obviously Lucky Ducks, huge fans, huge person on the team. Shout out to James for winning. Shout out to Drew for finishing second. Shout out to Brian for. He was doing really good at the beginning of the run, but kind of got screwed there a little bit with some cautions and checkups. And then, thanks, John, team owner, supporting us. Thank you guys, too, in the broadcasting booth. You guys are always awesome to have back for this season. I didn't get to talk to you guys this whole season, I feel like, so I'm happy to finally get to talk to you now. But thank you guys for coming back. You guys are always a pleasure to listen back on. And, yeah, we'll go from there, so.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show to call there, Douglas.
Yeah.
It was a great run. Congratulations on 7th, and good luck next week at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll need it for sure, so thank you.
Well, that will be finishing up our interviews here tonight. Got to talk to our 4 drivers, a lot of lucky ducks, as they performed excellently in that final third of the race, putting themselves in situations for success. And that's what helped James Scioli get into victory lane. As we get prepared to take a look at our unofficial results for tonight's race, had to go into overtime. Just one attempt needed for our Music City Rumble 225, presented by Lariat Productions. And the victor of the day goes to the lucky duck driver of James Scioli. His teammate of Drew Jua going to be falling down to second, with Tom Sinchek, our pole sitter, taking third. John Forbes Jr., another big mover, up 19 positions from where he started. He'll take fourth, with Ryan Kelly to fifth. Larry Yingling falls to sixth position, with Douglas Newbigging to seventh. Brian P. Johnson, eighth. Ninth is Cedric Hunter. Finishing out our top 10, the 2 of Danny Cochran, after he had a very eventful day to start out and just slowly, methodically made his way forward.
Yeah, and a great run also from Vincent Sora, finishing 11th. Not probably where he wanted to finish from, a top 5 finish last season, but still a good finish compared to the last, the first 3 races of the season. So good work for him. And Justin Malarkey, an interesting strategy, him staying out there at that last caution after being involved in it, also falling back to 17th from starting on first place there. And Brandon Colley also having a pretty decent showing today, back in 20th.
Not the best, not the worst runs for some of those drivers. Others would have preferred better nights for themselves. I know Zach Hall, he typed in the chat, just the time to the yellow and the way that it kind of glitched out, was not able to get back on the lead lap. Same for a couple of other drivers that added on with them. But that late caution with Chad Wilkes, Ollie Fonseca, Joshua Kanata really did shake up the end of this race that put us in a scenario for another late caution into overtime. It was a fun one overall. Race 5 in the books. 5 different pole sitters, 5 different winners. The WSSR, it seems to be a usual start to the season. Question is, when will we start to see the momentum swing to seeing those top dominators? Who will be the 3-4 drivers that are hunting for that championship? I think we might have seen one of them, James Scioli, here tonight with how quick he looked with the most recent update. But for us here this evening, this will be the halfway zone of our weekly schedule. We also have more racing tomorrow night as we head to go race with the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, as they're heading over to race at Las Vegas before they head into their week break, into their holiday break that they will have. Next week, we will have 2 broadcasts. We'll be having Monday night as well as Wednesday night. Monday night going to be an important one, as the drivers of the ISRC Truck Series get prepared to crown a champion. Crazy to think their season is coming to a close. Will it be Vincent Sora or will it be John Forbes? You'll have to find out on Monday night. And then for us here for the WSSR Cup Series, next Wednesday will be our last broadcast of 2024. Crazy to think the year is almost over. I mean, Richard, I know you just hopped on board calling with us for the WSSR, but it's crazy to think that the year is almost over for us.
Yeah, it is crazy to feel that the sun is setting on 2024, but still a lot to look forward to for the rest of racing in this season for the WSSR, as we're just going to take the 2-week holiday break, and we'll be back in 2025 for after the Red Bull Ring next week, and we'll be back in 2025 for the other section, the second part of Season 10 here in the WSSR Cup.
We'll also be back in the new year with the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, and before both of those series come back, we will also be having our 6-hour endurance race, our charity event on January 4th. If you have not seen our charity events in the past, this is our 4th annual one, our 3rd endurance race that we've put on. Our 2nd year, we ran the Daytona 500, but we have continued on with endurance racing, 6 hours at Daytona, to see how much money we can raise for the Breakthrough T1D group that was formerly known as JDRF, as it is a fight to beat diabetes group, and it has been awesome to be partnered up with them all 4 years. If you'd like to go find ways to donate, share about the broadcast and the fact that this event is going on, or if you'd like to be a part of the endurance race, remember to go check out our social medias for all the ways to sign up or just donate or share. The ways to officially sign up, once you go to our social media sites on Twitter or Facebook, we will then have a link to our community Discord channel where you can go and sign up there properly. I want to say thank you so much to everyone that's joined with us here this evening, and it's been a fun one at Nashville. Richard, a pretty clean race overall, but it came down to James Scioli, Drew Jua. The teammates gave us a great duel, but what were some of your final thoughts of the evening before we call it an evening overall?
Oh, it was just some fantastic racing along with everybody. Everyone kept it, for the most part, clean. Tire saving was a huge factor, it seemed like, but James Scioli just knew exactly what he needed to do, just planted that car on the inside lane. It seems like that was the preferred line, but everyone did a great job, a fantastic race to watch and commentate. So looking forward to seeing what these drivers can do when they turn left and right next week at the Red Bull Ring.
You do not want to miss it. The Red Bull Ring will be an amazing race overall. Who will be the top driver to watch out for? We'll have to find out. But for this evening, for your Wednesday night, your WSSR Cup Series Race 5 is in the books, and your victor goes to the 77 of James Scioli. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Richard Wolsifer, as well for Robert Moyer Jr. and everyone else, a part of Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for spending your Wednesday night with us. Cannot wait for our next event. Going to be next week again at the Red Bull Ring. But if you cannot wait until then to go see some of that great racing action, we got you covered. Tomorrow night, we've got our race at Las Vegas. Don't want to miss it, as it's going to be the 3rd to last race of the season for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Do the teammates keep fighting back and forth, or could someone reemerge as a new contender for the championship? You'll have to find out tomorrow night for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.